26. After that Bruce Wayne interview is over, it will be Danny and Jennifer's turn. Carla doesn't pay much attention to Bruce, because she has already determined that, whether Bruce will be the Batman in the future, at least he is definitely not the current one. So she lost interest. It was Bruce who paid special attention to Carla when he passed by and left. This made Jennifer very concerned, and she was about to accuse Carla of stealing her limelight. Carla can only remind her that it will be her turn soon, and if she doesn't go in, it will leave a bad impression on the examiner and directly affect her grades. Jennifer had to give up. Watching the back of Bruce leaving, Danny shrugged, this kind of slightly gloomy and sad sense of decadence, no wonder Jennifer is a nympho. Carla glanced sideways at Danny, then turned her head and continued to look at the things in her hands. That is the guidebook of the Metropolitan University. Unlike the previous university guidebooks, this is a detailed guide dedicated to the introduction of the Metropolitan University, including the classification of courses and the types of clubs. And what Carla is looking at now is the club part. Some of them are engaged in research, some are engaged in sports, and they also include various enthusiasts, such as photography enthusiasts, news enthusiasts, and so on. In addition, there are tea ceremony, chess club, billiards, and so on. What Carla cares most about here is that there are some fighting clubs like taekwondo, karate, judo, and so on. There is even a Chinese kung fu club in it, but Carla is very suspicious. The head of the club is a white man. Does he really know kung fu? Do you want to join this? Danny peeked from the side, doubting Carla's choice. Is she the type who likes kung fu? Just want to exercise and exercise, Carla said casually with a smile. Still exercising? Danny thought that helping the family is enough exercise, right? So Jennifer has planned to live in Kent's house for a while. After a while, when Jennifer came out, it was finally Donnie's turn. Where's that person? Jennifer asked about Bruce's whereabouts as soon as she came out. Danny is very convinced. She even cheered Jennifer up just now. She really forgets her friends. Only Carla reached out and gave Danny a high five, wishing her well. As for Jennifer's question, Carla could only shake her head to signal that she left early. Jennifer was very disappointed. She always felt that that person had an indescribable feeling. There was an indelible sadness and gloom in her eyes, and a bit of decadence. This kind of person was the most difficult for girls. Carla sighed, Miss Nympho, you should consider whether you can pass the exam. What if you meet again in school? Only then did Jennifer turn her worries into joy. That's right, since he is also here for an interview, maybe he will become a classmate in the future? Carla said in her heart that you are really optimistic, so I just said casually, Metropolitan University is so big, where can I find a random person to come out? By the way, Carla, which major did you apply for? Jennifer asked curiously, and she finally began to return to normal. Carla said without thinking, psychology. Do you want to be a counselor in the future? Jennifer was curious. Carla smiled and said nothing, definitely not, but to use psychology to break their spirits when fighting bad guys in the future, and even if she meets Joker one day, she also wants to try to make a joke, even if she can't. To win, at least you can't be led by the nose. What Carla didn't say was that what she really wanted to specialize in was criminal psychology. As for whether he can really grasp the essence of it, Carla doesn't care too much. Anyway, some help is better than nothing. Next, after Danny also completed the assessment interview, the three girls took the train back together first, and the notification would be sent by letter in a week later. As for the result, definitely all three of them passed. The three adults were also happy about this, and they also met at Carla's farm, bought a lot of ingredients, set up an oven and held a barbecue meeting. Jennifer's father is a businessman, running a small business in a small town. Donnie's parents own a dental practice. None of them are considered wealthy, but they all belong to well-off middle-class families. Because of the relationship between the three children, the three families also had many contacts. Jennifer, Donnie, and Clark have known each other for a long time, and they even teased Clark unscrupulously, asking him if Carla went to school, would he be lonely or something. Carla felt amused, but fortunately, she had already comforted them before. Clark didn't let them do what they wanted, but said that her sister promised to come back every week or at least every month, so she wouldn't feel lonely. Because the school will not start immediately, and there is still a long time before the new semester, so Carla will basically stay at home next. I help the family with some chores every day, mainly to spend more time with my adoptive parents and Clark. Definitely, even if she is asked to go out to play, she basically has no friends except Danny and Jennifer. But Danny and Jennifer are different from her. They have other friends and they also have to accompany their families, so it's not easy to get tired of being together all day long. Around the end of August, Carla finally ushered in her college life. The new semester is about to start. She brought her things and went with Danny and Jennifer, and chose to come to the university to report one day in advance, and then got the keys to the rooms assigned to them. Maybe because they came from the same place, they were assigned to a 3-person dormitory, which made it easier for them to take care of each other. After the day came, naturally there was nothing to say, and I must go to this school where I will live forever from now on. During this period, Jennifer has been looking around as if looking for something, or someone. It seems she still misses Bruce. Carla said with a smile, maybe you will meet unexpectedly in the first class tomorrow. It turned out that Carla really hit the nail on the head, but it was not Jennifer and Bruce who met unexpectedly, but she and Bruce. When Carla was in the classroom and sitting next to him, she was shocked to see Bruce's figure and his friendly smile. Why is he here? No, Batman was originally a master of psychology, arguably the best detective, the best tactician, and he is considered the best at analyzing problems in the world. Psychology is absolutely essential in this. Perhaps the purpose of these two people learning this course is still the same. Facing Bruce's gesture, Carla smiled and nodded as a greeting. So far, it can only be said to be a coincidence, but when Carla went to several fighting clubs to report and found that she would bump into Bruce every time, she really felt that this is too much of a coincidence, right? Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 27. From this day on, Carla officially became a student of Metropolitan University, and Bruce also became her classmate. When Jennifer found out, she asked Carla seriously if she liked Bruce. Carla also made it clear to Jennifer that she really doesn't like Bruce. Well, if it's Batman's identity, she still wants to collect a bat flying darts, a Batmobile and a motorcycle. It would be best if she could give her a Batmobile definitely. Only then did Jennifer feel relieved, and started to go to Carla's classroom specially, in name to find Carla, but the drunkard's intention was not to drink. It's just that Jennifer soon discovered that Bruce didn't have her in his eyes, and even the prettier Carla was actually indifferent to him. He just greeted politely when they met, but that's all. Maybe they already have someone they like. Danny doubted this during lunch once. Carla doesn't care about these, she is reading some elective books now, for example, a book about astronomy that she can't put down. Because that was the introduction about fixed star, which is the sun. It is well known that the Kryptonian's power comes from the golden sun's rays, which is related to the knowledge of the source of her own power. Moreover, in addition to introducing the sun, the book also makes a guess about the fixed star outside the solar system but not beyond the Milky Way. The first is the number of fixed stars in the Milky Way, which is estimated to be hundreds of billions. Among them, the sun is not the most massive and the most outstanding. For example, Eta Carini, the brightness of this fixed star is more than 4 million times that of the sun. There is also the Peony Nebula fixed star, also known as the Peony star, whose brightness is more than 3 million times that of the sun. If it is said that Superman's power comes from the light of the sun, can it also be considered that the light of the moon, the greater the power of promotion? After all, everyone knows that the light of the moon at night is the refraction of the sun, but the light of the moon does not make Carla feel the improvement of strength. On the contrary, Superman's power will be depleted at night. If Carla's physical strength is unlimited under the sun, her physical strength will become limited under the moon. There is definitely no shortage of red glowing fixed stars in the universe, and there are even quite a few. Carla will also remember their approximate location, and will stay away from the place where the red sun's rays shine in the future. It means that if there is an opportunity to enter outer space for operations in the future. Speaking of which, I'm going to participate in club activities in the afternoon. How about you? Do you want to come together? After the three of them had lunch together, Carla put away the book he had finished reading, got up and was about to leave. Don't you have class in the afternoon? But Danny and Jennifer felt strange. It's not Friday and weekend, so she doesn't have to go to class? Carla shrugged, I have already finished my first year major courses by myself, so my professor allowed me to learn something else according to my hobbies. I am going to apply for an astronomy class. Speaking of which, the news club is pretty good, and I've already submitted my application. Danny and Jennifer stared at her dumbfounded. With the help of super learning ability, Carla has no problem at least in rote memorization. As for whether she can apply what she has learned, it depends on her future performance. After saying goodbye to her friends, Carla went to participate in club activities, and it was a news agency she just joined recently. The reason why she suddenly wanted to join the news agency was because she noticed by chance that the current president of the news agency should still be called the team leader, a classmate named Perry White. He is one grade higher than Carla, and he is considered a famous figure in the school, because he is responsible for the newspapers and news in the school. If Carla remembers correctly, this person seems to be the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet that Clark joined later. It seems that she wants to establish a good relationship with the other party in advance and find a way out for work. In addition, Carla also participated in clubs including Taekwondo and Karate. It goes without saying that Taekwondo originated from Tang Xiao, and Tang Xiao was originally rumored to be improved by the introduction of Tang Dynasty martial arts to Ryukyu. Now it has been transformed into Karate, which includes various techniques such as kicking, hitting, throwing, holding, throwing, locking, twisting, reverse skills, acupuncture, etc. It is also a good fighting technique. The main reason is that Carla doesn't know what to learn, and she doesn't know where to learn real kung fu. Simply using her Superman power, even if it is a flamboyant fist for ordinary people, is a powerful killer move in her hands. For example, in Taekwondo, all the school clubs learn are fancy performance moves and routines. Many kick moves are too high, and it is easy to be attacked by others. But Carla's kicks are fast, precise and ruthless. When a gust of wind passes by, she can kick a board or a brick lifted by a classmate neatly. Then she retreated before anyone else attacked. Once Bruce watched from the sidelines and couldn't bear it, and he wanted to compete with Carla. Bruce also joined these two clubs. I heard that the progress of cultivation is very fast, and the two new students are almost overwhelmed by the old students. This time, the duel between the two ended with a flying kick from Carla, and Bruce was instantly killed. This kick almost kicked him to death. In addition to these, Carla also saw the so-called Kung Fu Club, and found that they were just figuring it out, and it was actually not reliable at all. In short, Carla's life in college went on in an orderly manner, and soon she became a man of the hour. Among other things, she was still too beautiful. I just don't know why, although Carla's reputation has spread, no one has come to confess to her. It's not that no one has confessed, but there is a rumor in the school that all those who have confessed to her, if they are better students, will just be rejected by her mercilessly in person. But if it is those bad boys, many of them will be unlucky later, and they will wrestle dozens of times in a day for no reason. Since then, no one has dared to provoke this demonic woman. It is said that a year passed quickly, and after Bruce had been in school for a while, he suddenly disappeared overnight. If he's really Batman, Carla understands his departure. Because Batman is considered one of the smartest people and has studied various subjects such as biology, physics, mathematics, engineering, geography, theology, history, etc. Moreover, at the age of 21, he obtained degrees in criminology, law, computing, chemistry, and engineering. So, these few years may be the time when he is accumulating himself? Batman hasn't made his debut yet, but the day when Batman appears is not far away. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 28. In fact, in the past year, although Carla and Bruce were classmates, they were still classmates, and even some club activities overlapped. However, there are not many intersections between the two, because Carla always comes and goes in a hurry. It's not that she is too mysterious, but that she has participated in almost all courses, open courses, and electives besides her own compulsory courses, class and so on. It wasn't until later when I was participating in the activities of the news club that I probably learned why Bruce left the school from a piece of news brought by Perry White. There was a recent hearing in Gotham City, and the reason why Perry White would bring Carla was because a prisoner who had been in prison for 14 years wanted to get bail. And the crime this person committed was that he shot and killed Thomas Wayne, the president of Wayne Group, and his wife Martha Wayne 14 years ago. They are Bruce's parents. But Carla quickly put down the news, and asked Perry White indifferently, You don't think it has anything to do with me, do you? Or should I call Bruce to comfort him? Please, I don't even have him. Is your phone okay? Although he knew why Bruce was in this state, he had a decadent look on his face, and there was always a touch of sadness and gloom in his eyes, and he was not in Gotham City, but ran to the nearby Metropolitan University. But Carla didn't pay much attention to it. That's Bruce's business, and it's his own problem to fix. Carla has her own thing to do now, which is to take advantage of the current time to try her best to absorb all kinds of knowledge, and later she even joined the Kung Fu Club that was just a joke. The reason is that within a year, Carla's Taekwondo and Karate ranks have reached the highest level. Even Carla specially went to apply for the assessment, and finally got 2 black belts with a 10th degree black belt. That is already the supreme level, which means that she has reached the end. Taekwondo, who can practice beautiful fists and embroidered legs, finally kicked a professional Taekwondo master away, and almost killed a cow with a single punch in karate. She didn't show too extraordinary super strength, but her strength is definitely not comparable to ordinary people. So now Carla can only join the Kung Fu Club, figure it out with them, and sometimes even follow a martial arts movie to imitate moves. Carla also knew that this was nonsense, but she couldn't help it. She couldn't just let go of everything around her now and run around the world to learn from her teacher, right? At least not yet. Later, she gradually became unfamiliar with the relationship between Jennifer and Danny. There are still 2 to 3 years of college life to come, and she almost wants to stuff all the knowledge in the Metropolitan University library into her head. Even if you don't know what it means now, you have to memorize it by rote. Including observations and estimates of the Milky Way in astronomy, and even other galaxies in the larger universe, she also kept them all in mind. Not to mention those biology, physics, mathematics, engineering, geography, theology, history, etc., as well as criminology, law, computer, chemistry, engineering. Almost the degree Bruce got, even if she didn't reach the level where she could get a degree, she still dabbled a lot. Many of them are not important to her personally, and Carla doesn't care, she learns first. Even Carla wanted to find an opportunity to study the difference between the red sun's light and the golden sun's light, and why for Kryptonians, the former is a fatal weakening, while the latter is an invincible strengthening. Including the knowledge of minerals, she also wants to find an opportunity to experiment with kryptonite. Kryptonite is a special product of the planet Krypton and the deadliest threat to Kryptonians. Carla really wants to use the knowledge of the Earth to enrich herself, and even find a solution. Could it be said that Kryptonians really cannot resist the weakening of kryptonite? I'm sorry for Jennifer and Danny, but Carla is too busy now. In the last year, she simply forgot to go home, especially in the last semester. She didn't go back for the whole semester. Later, Jennifer and Donnie had to bring her living expenses. In a blink of an eye, Carla was 24 years old, and it was time to graduate from university. Clark, who is 10 years younger than her, is 14 years old and will be in high school next year. Today's Carla doesn't know when she started wearing a pair of glasses on her face. Others may think that she is too short-sighted because of studying too much. Only Carla knows that she is not short-sighted, but is laying the groundwork for the future. This is a cover-up method like Clark's. Cooperate with the hypnotic ability of psychological suggestion, and then slightly change the image and appearance, so that people will not recognize themselves. So don't look at Superman who acts without wearing a mask, but when he puts on glasses, no one recognizes him. There are reasons for this. Not long after, Carla ushered in her graduation exam. The process was definitely easy and smooth. Her credits had already exceeded the quota, so even if she wanted to take the postgraduate entrance examination, she would be fine. It's just that Carla didn't choose to stay, but left Jennifer and Danny in a hurry after getting her graduation certificate, and left without a trace. Even Jonathan, Martha, and Clark can only receive messages from Carla every now and then, reporting on her recent situation. Sometimes she went to the South Pole, and sometimes she went to the North Pole for a circle, and more often she would be active in a crowded city in a certain country, but she also went to uninhabited places, such as Mount Everest. She has also climbed to the top, and she still wants to visit Ancient One under the trend of curiosity. But this is the DC world, and Ancient One is the Sorcerer Supreme of the Marvel Universe. It would be hell to see it. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, Carla is crazy, including many people in the town who say that Carla must have gone crazy because of studying. Only Carla knows what she's doing. She spent nearly 3 years after graduation, not only learned almost all the languages on the earth through visiting the world, but also saw many customs. Even Karla has really visited famous mountains and is proficient in almost all fighting techniques in the world. Muay Thai, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Israeli fighting technique, Mega, Sambo, Sisturma, French kicking, wrestling, kickboxing, fencing, Filipino wand, Taekwondo, Karate, Kyokushin Karate, Judo, Aikido, Sumo, Ninjutsu, Kendo. Even Sanda, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, Tai Chi, Shaolin Kung Fu, Bajikwan and all styles of Chinese martial arts, etc. Some people may think it is exaggerated. However, this is all achieved by Batman Bruce, and even Karla met Bruce who was also traveling halfway. This is definitely not an accident, and it was Bruce who made suggestions to Karla. It's just that the two didn't come together later, but separated after meeting and having a drink. Karla is actually walking the same track that Bruce walked once. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 29. In a blink of an eye, Karla was already 27 years old. Since graduating from university at the age of 24, she was not in a hurry to go home or find a job in the metropolis, but embarked on a trip. In fact, by the time Karla embarked on the trip, Bruce had already traveled 3 years in advance. So when Karla spent almost 3 years traveling the world, Bruce has been traveling for the 6th year. Later, Karla heard that Bruce met another good teacher and helpful friend, who seemed to be called the Shadow Warrior Alliance or something. Karla and Bruce have exchanged phone numbers since they met halfway before, mainly because Karla got a lot of help from Bruce. Bruce has learned almost all the fighting techniques in the world over the years, and he told Karla where he had practiced, and recommended that she also go to practice apprenticeship. The two of them have become close friends. It's just that Karla is not interested in the Shadow Warrior Alliance. On the phone, Karla said that she has been out for too long and it is time to go home. Yes, if you don't go back, your adoptive parents will go crazy. She hardly came home before she graduated from university, and now she has been going crazy outside for several years. She is still a girl, so how can the family not worry about it? Definitely their worries are superfluous. With Karla's super strength, and even the defensive power that can be called the Man of Steel, it is very difficult for anyone in the world to hurt her. Unless it's that sinister man. Do you think Karla is talking about Joker or Reiners? Wrong, she was talking about the man who was chatting on the phone just now, the Batman who will wear the Bat battlesuit in the future, that is Bruce. Many people may think that Superman's biggest enemy is Doomsday, Darkseid, or even Karla or Shazam, and others in the Justice League, etc. However, the person who really defeated Superman with a mortal body can only be done by Bruce. Others are as powerful as Doomsday, and Superman died with it. Darkseid? He was also defeated many times by the Justice League led by Superman. Only Bruce, if this BD dares to store a warehouse's kryptonite in his warehouse curry, Karla will definitely make him look good. This second five son is submissive to the enemy. He only studies his teammates thoroughly, strikes hard at critical moments, and has many plans for his teammates. As long as he is given enough opportunities to set up, this master tactician can beat all teammates. As for the enemy will not give him this chance. Otherwise, why is Batman still one of the giants and even leaders of the Justice League without any super ability? He is just the smartest brain. Thinking of this, Karla started to go home, and she was finally going home. Naturally, the harvest in the past few years has been great. Karla used to be a little arrogant, immature, and irritable, but now she has become much more restrained. Karla tied her conspicuous long hair into a ponytail, casually wore a sweater, and underneath was a pair of jeans that had turned white. Only her shoes were relatively clean, because she could fly and float in particularly dirty places. Walk in the air 1 centimeter above the ground. Karla wore a pair of glasses, as if this could cover her beautiful eyes and peerless face, but she didn't encounter too much trouble along the way. Definitely there are still troubles, God knows how many people in the world mysteriously disappeared just because of her journey. Especially at a certain point, Karla finally got bored with herself and had to choose to leave early. When Karla set foot on the familiar land and saw her lush farmland from afar, she couldn't help but get excited. She closed her eyes and took a long breath, smelling the familiar smell, and listening to the voices of her family. Where? There were 3 voices in the house, and it was obvious that the whole family was at home. Carla opened her eyes again, the corners of her mouth raised a big arc unconsciously, and walked quickly towards home. When Carla suddenly opened the door and entered, the family members were shocked, but it was a shock of surprise, not shock. In fact, it was a little frightening. Carla's trip along the way was not an ordinary trip, but a kind of experience, so she didn't go happily, and she was inevitably a little embarrassed. Carla is carrying a package on her shoulder in her right hand, as if she has just returned from working outside, and it is not at all obvious that she is a proud girl who graduated from a prestigious school. Carla. Martha looked at Carla, tears streaming down her face. You child, you are finally back. Carla was also very moved, smiled, and went up to hug her adoptive mother. It's been a few years since Carla's stature even reached 1.9 meters, tall and well-proportioned, and her momentum is more calm and confident, making Jonathan nod secretly. He originally wanted to scold this disobedient and unfilial girl, so he ran away without saying a word. The last time he called back he was still at the Antarctic, and the next time he called, he went to the North Pole. He even ran to the top of Mount Everest once. This makes them feel at ease as parents. Fortunately, she has completely become a mature adult. This journey must have yielded something, so I won't talk about her. Sister. At this moment, a hesitant voice sounded from the side. Carla turned her head and saw Clark. Now Clark is no longer a child, no longer the brat who followed her but a 17-year-old file-size guy. Even Clark's height has reached 1.7 meters, maybe he will surpass Carla in the end. After all, it is a boy. Clark had turned handsome, only now he was looking at Carla with complicated eyes. When Carla left home, Clark was less than 8 years old, and then the 2 siblings lived apart. Including when Carla traveled around the world after graduation, Clark was only 14 years old. He is 17 now. No matter how close relatives are, it is inevitable that they will be a little strange. Carla didn't mind at all, she put down the package casually, walked over and hugged Clark with open arms. Clark wanted to break free with some embarrassment, but his sister was always his sister, and with Clark's strength, he couldn't fight Carla at all. Clark has become a big kid. Carla patted Clark on the head, then opened his hands and let him go, and asked expectantly, "How is it? Do you have a girlfriend?" Martha reached out and patted Carla behind her. Clark is only 17 years old, don't teach him badly. Carla rolled her eyes, come on, those brats in school started picking up girls when they were 14 or 15 years old, if you don't worry, the good girls will be picked up by others. But all of Carl's world as Superman is almost inseparable from a Louise. So it seems that there is no need to worry about his lifelong event. Speaking of which, is Clark on vacation today? You should be in high school, right? Carla felt strange again, or did you sense that my sister was going home today, so she greeted me at home early? It's the middle of the school term, why is Clark at home? After hearing this, Jonathan and Martha looked at each other with unnatural expressions. He got into trouble. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 30. Damn it. Carla, who had just returned home, didn't care about resting or washing up. She turned around and sat on the sofa next to Clark, pulled her younger brother to sit down, and asked with a strange look, what trouble can he cause? Dad trained him to be a puppy. Jonathan rolled his eyes, knowing that she was accusing himself of having always been strict with Clark since he was a child, and even preventing other children from playing with Clark when he was still unable to control his powers as a child. The reason why Clark had no friends since he was a child, and even few people he could talk to, was all due to Jonathan. Definitely Jonathan is also protecting Clark, and the reasons don't need to go into details. Martha muttered, this child, how can you talk, don't describe your brother as a dog. Carla also rolled her eyes, Mom, are you naturally black? Was she trying to compare Clark to a dog? What is that self? Is she blaming her father? Clark is the most innocent. After Jonathan and Martha's narration, Carla knew what happened to Clark. It's not a bad thing, but a good thing. It turned out that just 2 days before Carla went home, a school bus that Clark was riding in had an accident and plunged into a river. The situation was urgent, and when the whole car was about to drown, Clark had to forcefully push the car ashore with his own super strength. But what he did was seen by 2 students, so he almost exposed his extraordinariness. This is what Jonathan has been trying to prevent and conceal since he was a child, so he said that he caused trouble. During the investigation at the police station, the 2 children said that Clark saved them, but because he behaved so unbelievably, he was also very scary, Jonathan said with a helpless expression. He was worried that the existence of Clark and Karla would be known by outsiders. Even once their identities as aliens are exposed, humans will know that the Earth is not alone in the universe, and at the same time know that there are powerful alien creatures and civilizations that can threaten the Earth at any time. As a result, the Earth will inevitably fall into panic. Never overestimate a person's ability to withstand. When the sky is full of alien warships and aiming at the Earth, few people can keep calm. Not to mention whether the 2 siblings will be dragged into slices, just because of their alien identities, they may attract slander and crusade from people all over the world, and even expel them. It's all possible. Only Karla seemed indifferent. Clark did a good thing, Dad, and he is already an adult, he knows what he is doing. Human life is more important than heaven. If I had met at that time, I would have spared no effort to save people. How about if Clark turns a blind eye, I will teach him to have a sense of justice alone. Or do you think that if only Clark survives in the end, what kind of accusation will he suffer? If all the people in the car died, but only Clark survived unharmed, others would blame him for being the only one who survived, regardless of whether he had super abilities or not. Parents who have lost their own children must do that. Jonathan wanted to say something more, but there was a knock on the door. Jonathan? Martha? I know you are at home, I think we need to talk. That was the wife of another farmer nearby. Karla remembered that their family's last name seemed to come from Ross. They have a kid about Clark's age, Pete Ross. At least 2 people had seen Clark's behavior before, one was this Pete, and the other was a child named Lana. Speaking of which, that Lana was Superman's first love in high school in some stories. Maybe this will be a good opportunity? Taking advantage of Clark saving her and leaving a good impression, maybe it can be facilitated. Martha went to open the door, and a middle-aged woman came in. She looked a bit pretty, and it seemed that she was also a tweed in the town when she was young. Definitely Karla still thinks Martha is more beautiful. The woman was Pete's mother, and she was accompanied by a child of Clark's age, and when she saw Clark's eyes, she visibly trembled and was taken aback. Seeing this situation, Jonathan asked Karla to take Clark upstairs. Karla just came home, so she can go wash up. When passing by Pete's mother and son, Karla greeted them casually, Mrs. Ross, long time no see. Mrs. Ross also agreed, Karla, I heard that you have gone to work in other places? You have grown up so much, should you get married? Why? Karla looked at Mrs. Ross with a puzzled expression, I just came back to develop my work, why did I get married? And no one is worthy of my sister. Mrs. Ross looked at Karla in shock, only thinking that her words were too shocking. What's more, calling yourself a sister? Martha came over with a wry smile and pushed the Karla siblings up the stairs, go take a shower, and the clothes you left at home are already too small, right? Karla squinted at her adoptive mother, do you mean the length of the sleeves and trousers is too small, or the chest is too small? It's all small, it's all small. It's all grown up, okay? Mom. Anyway, it's time to take you shopping for clothes tomorrow. The 2 mother and daughter went upstairs noisily, leaving Jonathan to entertain Mrs. Ross and her children downstairs. Clark looked back downstairs worriedly, but what he got was Jonathan's comforting look, so he continued to go upstairs. Back upstairs, Karla found that her room hadn't changed. It was clear that Clark could live in it for the past few years, but even Clark never asked to change the room. Instead, he felt that this room had always belonged to his sister. Will definitely be back too. The room is cleaned every day, so it is kept spotlessly clean and tidy, including the bed linen and quilt cover, which has always been the pattern before Karla left home many years ago. It is definitely cleaned every week, so it exudes a fresh fragrance. Karla found that she was so familiar with this room that she wouldn't fall even with her eyes closed, including everything that was the same as before she left. There were books she used to read at home on the desk next to the bed, and the closet was full of her previous clothes. But as Martha said, Karla, who has grown to 1.9 meters, has shortened the sleeves and bottoms of all the clothes and trousers, and the chest of the clothes is not suitable, and the hem of the clothes can't even cover the belly. I can only find time to buy some new clothes. Clark, I'm going to take a shower, Don't peek, Carla teased Clark, took the washing things and walked to the bathroom on the second floor. As for the conversation downstairs, she didn't care at all. Carla didn't care, but it didn't mean Clark didn't care, especially when Mrs. Ross said that Clark might be the chosen one. He even jumped out of the window. Perhaps Clark is beginning to feel that his super ability is a curse? Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 31. In the evening, the finally reunited family of four sat around the dining table with a sumptuous dinner. After all, Carla finally came back after a few years and needed to celebrate. It's just that the atmosphere at the dinner table seemed a little heavy, because of Clark's incident, mainly because Clark began to doubt why he had this super ability. Maybe I'm cursed. Clark couldn't help but offer his thoughts. Carla doesn't think so, why do you think so? While talking, she used psychokinesis to take a ball of mashed potatoes from the table and threw it into her mouth, eating it deliciously. The travels of the past few years have allowed her to release her power more easily and casually. Jonathan looked at her helplessly. He had been asking Clark to conceal his super ability, but this disobedient daughter was showing off all the time. Martha, dumbfounded, picked up the spoon from Carla's dinner plate and stuffed it into her hand. Order normally, this is at home, Carla. Carla shrugged, turned to Clark and said, do you think you are cursed? And me? But I don't think so. Maybe this power is becoming a drag on you now, because Dad wants to protect you in this way. But one day, when you want to be a hero who can help others, or when someone important to you is in danger, you will understand how lucky it is to have the power to protect someone important and help those in need. Clark, I have traveled to every corner of the world, fought against dangerous environments, fought and robbed the most ferocious beasts, met the most vicious villains, and even the most shameless guys. If I didn't have my own strength, I might be frozen to death in the Antarctic, the North Pole, and even on Mount Everest, not to mention the various dangers I encountered. Wearing the crown will take its weight. Consider this a test, Clark. As an older sister, Carla, who has experienced so much, naturally has to shoulder the responsibility of mentoring Clark. But would Clark really be so easily appeased by her? Obviously not. Clark stared into Carla's eyes seriously, and asked his own question, I just want to know why only my sister and I are different. Even my parents don't have these super abilities, only you and me are different from others. Why is that? What why? There are so many reasons, really. Eat and eat. It's been a long time since I've eaten my mother's cooking skills, and I'm so hungry. Carla looked away, and shifted the subject guiltily. This time, she simply put her hands on the table. The roast chicken in the middle has a thigh torn off. Martha glared at her. Did she not prepare tableware for her or something? She was not allowed to use the super ability, so she started directly. But I also heard what happened to Carla over the years, to fight and grab food with Beast. She obviously didn't go on a trip, but went through a lot of hard work. Carla, said Jonathan, who had been more silent than usual, suddenly, as you said, Clark has grown up, so it's time to tell him where you all came from. Origin? Clark was startled, looked up at Jonathan, saw Martha showing a worried expression, and finally looked at the silent Carla. Carla bit her lip, finally put the chicken leg into her mouth with a click sound, and smashed a large piece of it together with the bone, then bit it hard in her mouth. She can bite and digest even steel, and even her stomach is Superman level. Definitely the taste of steel is not very good, and Carla will not eat inedible steel, stones, and trees as food. A chicken leg was eaten whole by Carla, not even the bones, because she's a little fidgety now. Are you sure? Carla asked Jonathan, still not meeting Clark's eyes. Clark became a little impatient, and raised his voice and called out, Sister! Carla! In desperation, he even called his sister's name directly, trying to make her value him. What's going on? Are you hiding anything from me? If it has something to do with me, I have the right to know. He has been troubled by his own weird situation, and has been wondering why he is different from others, even his parents. Fortunately, he has a sister like himself, otherwise he would feel even more lonely and self-doubt. Now it seems that Cobweb has caught a clue, definitely excited and eager to know the truth. Carla finally turned her head to look into Clark's eyes, and sighed, since Dad said so, and you have indeed grown up, let me tell you. In fact, Clark, you and I are not the Earth people, Not parents' children, they are our adoptive parents. Definitely I think they have always been competent as parents, and have been doing their best to take care of us as if they were their own children. Jonathan and Martha felt very relieved. Fortunately, this girl is not a white-eyed wolf, and she has not loved their siblings in vain for so many years. Clark was hit hard, but he didn't expect that he was really a different kind. What's going on? Clark could only ask Carla feebly. He didn't know anything, he didn't even have a name, and he didn't even know where he came from. He only learned about his life experience from Carla. Now that Carla has already made a start, there is no need to hide it anymore, and immediately revealed their origins. Clark, your real name is Karl Zor-El. And my real name is Kara Zor-El. Your father's name is Zor-El. He is the elder brother of my father Zor-El. That means we are not real siblings, but cousins. Our planet is called Krypton, and we should also be called Kryptonians. Our home planet has been destroyed. Before that, your father and my father sent us to Earth in spaceships. In other words, we are already the last Kryptonian is also a refugee. Then after we arrived on Earth, we met our parents. At that time, you were a newborn baby and I was only 10 years old. Although I wanted to take care of you, I also needed to be taken care of. Fortunately, my parents took us in order to grow up smoothly on the Earth. As for our super ability, in fact, as long as the Kryptonians are exposed to the light of the golden sun, they will gradually awaken the power of Superman. In addition, the gravity of the Earth is much lower than that of Krypton, and the oxygen of the Earth has a great impact on the Kryptonians. The advantage, because the Earth does not have the mineral kryptonite, so we will show more and more powerful power. Carla did not hide anything, and told Clark everything she knew, from the origin of the two, to the demise of Krypton, the purpose of coming to Earth, and even the reason why the Kryptonians were so powerful. But she doesn't know too much, at least Carla doesn't know much about the situation of her uncle's family, that is, Clark's side. So in the end Carla said, when I wandered to the North Pole, I once discovered a spacecraft from Krypton. It was an exploration force sent by Krypton many years ago, possibly more than 20,000 years ago. Krypton once had a plan to colonize the entire universe, perhaps it was sent to Earth at that time, and the civilization on Earth at that time obviously had not yet developed. We each have a controller in our hands. You can use the controller to activate the spaceship's system. I think your father's system will explain it to you. Done, and grown up a little more. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 32. That night, Carla, Jonathan, and Martha even took Clark to see the spaceship they had come to Earth with. And Jonathan gave him the controller that belonged to Clark. Because of Clark's young age, his controller has been kept by Jonathan on his behalf. The controller is not just the key of the spaceship, it is actually an activation switch for a smart housekeeper, and it even contains a lot of data. It can be regarded as Iron Man's smart butler Jarvis. With Krypton's high-tech level, almost every family with a certain status has its own smart butler. This smart butler can do many things, including helping manage the family, including helping in combat, and even defending Krypton as an intelligent robot. The galaxy where Krypton is located is on the other side of the Milky Way, far away from the Earth. In the galaxy where Krypton is located, there is actually not only one civilization on Krypton. For example, a planetary civilization called Dakozam even has a hostile relationship with Krypton. The abilities of the people on the two planets are similar. If the Daxing people come to the Earth, they will also have various super abilities similar to the Kryptonians. This also led to the reason why the representative character Monday Al was mistaken for another survivor of Krypton when he first came to Earth. The difference is that the Kryptonian's weakness is kryptonite, while the Darshan's weakness is lead. Lead has no effect on Kryptonians, and the inability of Superman's perspective to penetrate lead appeared after Kryptonians came to Earth to obtain super ability. But it's just that you can't see through it, and there is no other effect. It's a bit of a stretch. This controller may seem small, but it contains ample knowledge reserves, as well as more secrets and information belonging to his family or family that can clarify Clark's doubts. Carla wasn't so ignorant, she could have taken Clark's controllers, but she didn't. At best she activated the ship's systems with her own controllers. Carla not only mastered more knowledge about Krypton, but also saw the image of Zor-El, and even Alara. Al, and General Astra, Karla's aunt. At the same time, Karla also learned some information. General Zod and her aunt, General Astra, two powerful army rebels, should have been imprisoned in the Phantom Zone at the same time. Karla is now very worried that there will be more than one General Zod facing the enemy in the future, and her aunt is likely to become her enemy as well. This is really sad. Looking at Clark again, he was shocked by the sudden truth, and couldn't let it go for days. Later Karla comforted Clark, his life experience as a Kryptonian was true, and his life on Earth was also true. He was not only a child of Kryptonians, but also a child of Earth. You are a child of the Al family, and you are also a child of the Kent family. Is there any conflict? No, you are you. Your Earth name is Clark Kent, and your Kryptonian name is Karl Al, that's all. At least Karla thinks so, so she has never been too entangled. When she felt the sincerity and attitude of her adoptive parents as her own, she also smoothly integrated into this family. Why bother with these things? Perhaps it was Karla's consolation that helped, or maybe it was the inseparable relationship with his adoptive parents for so many years, but Clark still calmed down. Karla also told Clark not to rush to the North Pole to find the spaceship, but hoped that he could be more mature, and even hoped that Clark would have the opportunity to circle the Earth like himself in the future. Doing so would both sharpen Clark's knowledge and give him experience. But the premise is that Clark has to finish his studies first. I just graduated from college. If you don't even get into college, it would be too embarrassing for me. Clark, come on, Karla put pressure on Clark. Since she was a college graduate, Clark had to go to college at least once. In fact, Clark also has a similar super learning ability, which should not be a problem. All in all, Clark's potential problems were solved this time, and the family returned to peace. Clark and Karla still respected their adoptive parents, as if Clark still didn't know that they were not his biological parents. It should be like this, even if there is no gift of childbearing, but there is the gift of nurturing, so they are called adoptive parents, and the relationship of so many years is not fake. In the past few days, Martha accompanied Karla to the town to buy some clothes. 2 sets of pajamas and a tracksuit for her morning run. Although Karla has never run in the morning, she has done a lot of farm work for the family. I also bought 2 sets of standard OL outfits according to Karla's request, which are what I will wear when I go to the metropolis to find a job after preparation. In addition, there are a few sets of casual clothes that I usually wear. Although the times have changed and the style of dressing has become more fashionable, Karla still likes trousers, not skirts. There are jeans, and there are ordinary slacks or trousers. Even her OL outfit is not a skirt, but trousers. In Karla's words, although it is generally believed that men cannot wear skirts, it is still okay for women to wear pants. Definitely she also knows that there is no law that says men can't wear skirts, and even does have a quirk of wearing skirts. Let's not talk about it. After returning this time, Karla did not forget to ask about the whereabouts of Danny and Jennifer. They were best friends when they were students. Contacted. Now that she has completed self-test and experience, she may be able to continue her career. As a result, I was told that Jennifer is now a stern prosecutor in the metropolis, and Danny has also gotten into a good position, which seems to be a relatively mysterious department. Among the 3 sisters, it is Karla who is doing nothing now. Karla couldn't help being surprised, these 2 girls can mix well. It seems that I have to go to the metropolis to find a job as soon as possible. Karla originally wanted to stay at home for a while, mainly to re-establish relationships with her family. But now it seems that the relationship with her family has not weakened in the slightest, and the recent situation of the 2 friends also made her anxious. It's not that I want to compare, but I can't be the only one who can do nothing. At the beginning, she agreed to go to the metropolis to develop together, but now she is the only one who is still an old man. So after a few days Karla left home again, boarded the train to Metropolis again, and wanted to fight that city again. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 33. Coming to Metropolis again, Karla couldn't help but feel strange. She has only been away for 3 years, and it's not like she didn't walk around when she was studying here. But the metropolis has changed a lot, and she wonders if she will get lost. Coming back to the metropolis this time, Karla has an obvious goal, which is to find a good job and at least be able to support herself. And she called her classmates before she left. She also met some people in college before, and one of them might be able to help her. That person is Perry White. Because of his experience in a news agency, Perry White has now joined the Daily Planet and has his own column. Carla is going to join him now, saying that she has traveled to many places and can write a travel column or customs of various places. Perry White also remembered this schoolgirl who was both beautiful and a bit lonely, and seemed weird in every way. So I agreed to help her get a direct interview. So Carla is now headed to the Daily Planet headquarters. Planet Daily is the most important newspaper and news agency in the metropolis. It even has an office building of its own, and there is a planet-like decoration on the roof. After all, it is called the Daily Planet, and that planet fits the name of the Daily Planet. Carla dressed up specially. At the moment, she changed into an OL outfit, with a white shirt inside and a tie specially worn. The coat was a beige suit jacket and trousers of the same color, and a pair of white leather shoes under her feet. To be honest, her dress is not only neutral, but more masculine. This is also because of the age, at the moment is still in the 1990s, although the status of women has improved a lot, but there are still differences in the treatment of women in the workplace. Carla loosened her long hair and wore a pair of glasses, exuding a confident and artistic atmosphere all over her body. She didn't need to hold any documents, so she just walked into the building with empty hands, and went straight to the upstairs office as Perry had instructed before. After hearing the news that Carla was coming, Perry came out to greet her personally, and introduced to her the personality and hobbies of the current editor-in-chief, hoping to help Carla. Today Perry is close to 30 years old, she is 1 year older than Carla, and is Carla's senior brother. Carla looked Perry up and down. What? I don't know you anymore. Perry felt strange, she was the one who came looking for him, why did he look at him like this again? But Carla, Perry was also looking at her, and realized that Carla, whom he had not seen for a few years, still maintained the style of the past. Not only was he still so beautiful, but he seemed to have not grown older. Indeed, even Carla's family felt that she was still in her early 20s rather than approaching her 30s. Carla shook her head, pointed at Perry's belly, and teased, I just think that your belly has changed the most. Perry used to be a relatively burly figure when he was in school, but now he only looks bloated. Maybe this is the disadvantage of sitting in the office often. Or maybe he is too lazy and doesn't like to exercise when he is resting, so that's it. Perry rolled his eyes, you still have the mind to joke with me, so you should think about how to deal with the next interview. While talking, someone came to inform Perry and Carla that the editor-in-chief was ready to interview her. Carla waved her hand, no problem, wait for my good news. She is extremely confident, in fact, she does have enough self-confidence. First of all, Carla has a degree from Metropolitan University, which makes the editor-in-chief who also came from the same school feel closer. Secondly, like Perry, Carla also has the experience of participating in the news club, which can be regarded as the counterpart in terms of profession or hobby. The most important thing is Carla's rich experience. Carla has traveled to all corners of the world. When the editor-in-chief asked her what advantages she had, she directly said that she could open a new column to introduce tourist attractions and interesting local customs around the world, and even witnessed many ferocious beasts. Live, hunt footage, and even personally survive some of the harshest environments. Mr. Editor-in-Chief, I once entered a desert and successfully traversed it. I think many people will like to read this experience, and want to know how I searched for water, how I survived the cold at night and the heat during the day. I also know a paradise that almost no one has set foot in. There is a small waterfall, surrounded by abundant fruit trees, and small animals running around without defense. It is rare that there are no annoying mosquitoes there. I have been there. I stayed for a week, and I was still reluctant to leave when I left. Do you know who really dominates the lion group in the lion family? If there are enough male lions and strong enough, the female lions will not dare to provoke them in the slightest. But if there is only one male lion, or if they are old, then the female lions will turn over and call the shots, and some lions will even tear the offending male lions to pieces if there are enough female lions. I saw it once when there were a few young teachers in the lion group, and those female lions were really brave. Do you know how many wild tigers there are left in the world? Do you know how many undiscovered insects and fruits there are in the world, blah blah blah. Carla's experience is too rich and too bizarre, from all over the world, the environment, people, fruits and vegetables. In short, Even the editor-in-chief couldn't help but get caught up in her experiences, lost in the magnificent, charming, harsh, or peaceful world described by Carla in a few words. Finally, he decided on the spot, "Miss Kent, you have been admitted, and just as you hoped, I will announce a separate column for you at the meeting in a few days later. You can go back and get ready now. One is job preparation, and the other is a plan for a new column. Name, content, series, etc. I hope you won't be disappointed by my decision." "Definitely," Carla stood up in satisfaction, stretched out her hand with a confident smile, and shook hands with the editor-in-chief. The editor-in-chief looked at her back as she turned and left, and had an intuition in his heart that the newspaper office had picked up a treasure. On the other side, after Carla came out, she told Perry about the result, and Perry was also happy for her junior sister, and said that she would celebrate for her. "There is a restaurant downstairs that serves good steaks." "Forget it, Brother Perry, next time. Today I made an appointment with Jennifer and Danny, do you remember them? We have always been inseparable friends." Carla declined Perry's kindness, and he was already troublesome. "I don't want him to invite me to dinner again." Perry, who had already seen her downstairs at the door, had no choice but to give up. At this time, a cold snort came from behind. "I think you still remember us? Could it be that you forgot us?" Carla turned her head with a look of surprise, and saw two beautiful women who were also wearing OL formal attire standing there. They were her former close friends Jennifer and Danny. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 34. They haven't seen each other for 3 years, and Danny and Jennifer have grown noticeably more mature. After all, they were also 27 years old, and Carla also learned that they were doing official work. Jennifer is now a prosecutor in the Met. Donnie seemed a little mysterious, and it was said that she was working in a certain department. Carla had called them before coming and made an appointment to meet after her interview. "I found a restaurant nearby, and the three good friends who hadn't seen each other for a long time reunited." Perry consciously did not disturb them, knowing that they must have a lot to say. "Really, even if you know that you have been running around the world these few years, you still have to call us a few times." Jennifer has been complaining about Carla, because Carla has only contacted her family members to report that she is safe in the past few years, but never contacted them. Carla shrugged. After all, international calls are expensive. Jennifer was so angry that her teeth were itching, but she couldn't blame anything, because the phone bill was really expensive at that time. Danny could only feel amused and comforted. "Okay, she's already back, so don't complain anymore. Speaking of Carla, are you still in touch with Bruce? Why did you mention him suddenly?" Carla was a little surprised. Danny glanced sideways at Jennifer beside her, and spread her hands. "This silly girl is like a demon. No one has been in her eyes for so many years, and she only misses that person." Carla looked at Jennifer unexpectedly. Jennifer scolded a little angrily. "What nonsense, I'm because of work, haven't you been single all the time?" Unexpectedly, Donnie said something that surprised the two of them. "Sorry, I already have a boyfriend, and I even plan to get married at the end of the year or next year, real or fake." "I'm not a bachelor," said Danny, who never said she wanted to be single for the rest of their lives. After talking about Donnie's relationship status, the topic involuntarily shifted to Bruce again. "If I have to say, they have had faults in the past few years. To be honest, the only person they can really talk to is Bruce, right?" Carla raised her hands in a gesture of surrender. "Don't you think I was with Bruce for the past 3 years? No, but we did meet once by chance, and then separated. Jennifer, I think you'd better give up." Carla and Danny want to persuade Jennifer to forget about Bruce as soon as possible. Jennifer shrugged. She was no longer the nympho girl at the beginning, but she knew exactly what was going on with her. "Don't worry, if I meet someone better than him, I definitely won't miss it. It's a pity that I don't know. It's not that my luck is too bad, the people around me are not as good as him." Carla thought to himself that you can see how good he is again, really. To put it bluntly, he is still a nympho, fascinated by Bruce's gloomy and sad style at the beginning. If Jennifer had seen Bruce's miserable state during his years of homelessness, she would have been disillusioned by now. Carla couldn't help regretting that if she knew Jennifer was so infatuated, she should have asked Bruce to take a photo with her. The three friends reunited and definitely talked a lot. Not all of them talked about feelings, but they also narrated some of their experiences in the past few years. For example, Carla's experience, Jennifer's handling of cases in recent years, and Donnie's experience to some extent. Dani briefly talked about her work to her friend, and she is mainly dealing with some Superman-like things now. In fact, the Superman class has always existed on the Earth, but ordinary people don't know it. For example, the Amazon family, the representatives of which are Wonder Woman and Amazon Queen Hippolyta. It's just that the Amazons live on the mysterious Paradise Island. Legend has it that Zeus built it for them, and there is a magic wall around it to protect the Paradise Island from being discovered. Even Carla didn't find the whereabouts of Paradise Island at the beginning, and she definitely didn't look for it specially, otherwise she could still find it. Amazons have greater strength and physical fitness than humans, and are said to have immortality because of the magic shield. Or maybe it was the extraordinary ability of the Amazons originally. In addition, there is a Superman race in the depths of the sea, who call themselves Atlanteans, and the representative of them is naturally Aquaman. When Carla and Clark went into the sea, they also vaguely noticed this race of life, but they didn't provoke it, not wanting to cause trouble. In addition, the gods in the legendary myths are actually real, but they have left the Earth now, and are even called the Old Gods. In the universe, there is a planetary civilization named Apocalypse, and the residents on it are called New Gods, who are about to replace the Old Gods and become the New Gods and rulers of the universe. There was even a collision between the New God and the Old God in ancient times, and Dani also brought a news that she unearthed a thing called the Mother Box not long ago. Carla slapped his forehead. You just die. The Mother Box is the power brought by the Apocalypse Star, and it is the original existence of power. Just like the infinite gems in the Marvel world, although the origin of the Mother Box may not be as noble as infinite gems, if the three Mother Boxes are integrated together, the huge power generated can easily destroy a planet, and it can also be destroyed simultaneously transform the planet. The war that took place on Earth in ancient times was because the Steppenwolf from Apocalypse led an army to destroy the Earth and transform it into a more suitable environment for Apocalypse. At that time, the old gods, Atlanteans, Amazons, and people from all countries and tribes in the world all gathered together, combined all their forces to defeat Steppenwolf, and divided the Mother Box into three, and gave them to Atlanta respectively. One was kept by the Ts, one was kept by the Amazons, and finally the Mother Box belonging to humans was hidden, in order to prevent humans from pursuing this power and facing the threat of Steppenwolves again. But I never expected, did I still dig it out? But at least there is no danger for now, and Carla did not disclose the information she knew about the Mother Box, because after all, Dani is mainly responsible for this aspect now, and she has to consider Dani regardless of other things. It turns out that the reason why Dani's work is so mysterious is because she is now in charge of dealing with those Superman-like things, such as some mysterious ruins, and various items and props beyond human common sense. It is estimated that even if the Superman class appears in the future, she will also be responsible, right? If this is the case, Carla thought it would be okay to let Dani be in charge of monitoring her in the future. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 35. The reunion between Carla and Jennifer and Dani didn't take too long. At most, they had lunch, and the conversation broke up after a while. The reason is that they are all very busy at work now, and it is not easy to find time to meet Carla. Also, the news of Carla was too sudden. She called on the train coming to Metropolis, and she was dead. Later, they agreed to wait for the two to adjust their rest days, and then find opportunities to get together and spend a few days in the Metropolis. Carla also has things to do here, such as finding a house first. Now that I have decided to come to work for the Metropolitan Daily Planet, I have to find a place to live. I can't fly home every night and come back in the morning, right? Not to mention it was too troublesome. Jonathan would not agree. It was impossible for her to do such a dangerous behavior that would expose herself at any time. In order to make it easier to get off work, Carla finally found an apartment near the Daily Planet and rented it on the spot. She is not short of money, not that she was given a lot of money by her parents. In fact, the package she brought back was not simple. It contained a lot of gold and a few diamonds. That's what she discovered during her travels. She found an undiscovered gold mine, and even a vein that could yield large quantities of raw diamonds. Carla doesn't care which country those people are from. When she came back, she first refined some gold bricks with heat vision rays and collected some diamonds. In fact, she didn't need to work to live in style. But Carla felt that just living a life of doing nothing every day is not a life, and she still needs to have a job, even if she is a little busy, it doesn't matter. Those gold and diamonds startled Jonathan and Martha. This wealth could easily buy their farm, worth at least tens of millions of dollars. Those few diamonds alone could sell for tens of millions. This also shows the bug of Superman. Supervision can easily discover underground mineral deposits, and even complete mining easily by one person. Including mineral veins and even oil fields on the seabed, Carla can find them as long as she wants to look for them. As for the news about the mother box that Danny brought, Carla didn't take it seriously. The mother box has not been activated yet. Even if it is now in the official hands, it is very difficult to study the power of the mother box. With the current level of technology, it is impossible to think about it in a short time. Therefore, Steppenwolf will not appear immediately, and there is still a peaceful atmosphere. At least Metropolis is much more peaceful than Gotham City. In the evening, Carla returned home and shared the good news of her successful application with her family. At the same time, Carla also expressed her willingness to move away, and she will completely move to the Metropolis. To tell the truth, Martha was very reluctant to leave again just after returning. It was Jonathan who comforted Martha. Clark was still at home, not to mention that Carla was already so old, and it was impossible for her to stay at home forever. When are you going to start moving there? Jonathan asked Carla's intentions and plans. Carla said without even thinking about it, start tomorrow, move the things there first, and then tidy up the house, so as not to be overwhelmed when you have to move at the same time as you have to enter the job. Jonathan nodded. Carla was right. Just before going to work, she should prepare everything that should be done, otherwise she would be too busy if they all rush together, and she doesn't have the super ability of duplication. Then make some preparations tomorrow, and I'll drive you off. Jonathan took the initiative to help his daughter move. Clark also said, I have a day off tomorrow, so I can help. Seeing that her family supported Carla's moving out, Martha could only sigh and mutter, it's really a girl who doesn't want to stay, so let me help too. It's not for the purpose of not staying in a female university, Mom, I haven't planned to get married yet, Carla smiled wryly. In this way, the whole family began to discuss Carla's moving again. Martha was the most resistant at the beginning, but after she agreed, she cared the most. If it wasn't for Carla's obstruction, Martha even planned to move Carla's bed away, worrying that she wouldn't be used to sleeping in a strange bed. But Carla asked dumbfoundedly, it's not like I was kicked out, where will I live if I come back? Martha had no choice but to give up. Actually, it doesn't have to be so troublesome. At most, I just bring some clothes and some handy things. I can buy anything else I need there. I still hope to keep the things at home as much as possible. I always come back for a few days every once in a while, or do you mean you are not welcome? Carla didn't intend to move all her things away, as if she was going to leave the house completely. This is the only place on earth Carla can call home, and only these 3 family members. If she severed her relationship with this place, what bond would she still have with the earth? Danny and Jennifer are best friends at best, but one needs a family. Hearing this, Jonathan and Martha felt relieved, and hoped that she would come back several times, preferably every night. It's okay to have your dad pick you up and drive you to get off work every day, Martha actually mentioned. Jonathan said in his heart that I am not too young, so you can't pity me? Still, Carla felt sorry for her adoptive father, it was too hard and troublesome, you should spare Dad. Clark also persuaded with a smile from the side, it's not that my sister is going to disappear this time, she's in the Metropolis, if you have time or miss her, you can go and stay with her for a few days. Welcome, welcome, my 3 meals a day will be taken care of by then. Am I your nanny? Ha ha ha. There was a burst of laughter in the Kent house. The next day, the whole family went into action. Carla and Martha were responsible for packing the things she was going to take away, and then Jonathan was responsible for driving the car out, and Clark was responsible for the strength, and he was the one who carried the things. It is obvious that Carla's strength is the greatest, but what is the younger brother used for? Isn't it just for bullying? Cough cough cough. After packing up Carla's salute, the family had some bread and milk before driving to the Metropolis. They first went to the small town, and there were still some things that needed to be purchased, such as new sheets and quilt covers, pots and pans, and so on. Carla is the only one who moves, not the whole family. Carla can't take all the furniture with her. What does the family use? With Clark in charge of lifting things, Carla easily purchased all kinds of things, and finally couldn't even fit in the back of the pickup truck. It's also fortunate that Clark is Superman, otherwise he would definitely be exhausted to death by this sister. The next step is to take the things to the apartment in the metropolis. There is still a long road to go, and they have to try to get back before night. And just as the car was on the road to the metropolis, Carla suddenly felt a flash in front of her eyes, and unconsciously started a super premonition. She sees that there will be a tornado on the road ahead, and most importantly, her adoptive father Jonathan may die. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 36. Faced with this sudden disaster, Carla fell into hesitation. If she follows her ideals and goals of becoming a superhero, since she knows that there is such a disaster, she will definitely go forward to help those in need. But Carla is more aware of Jonathan's persistence. He is not a selfish person, but very upright, and has played a great guiding role for both Carla and Clark. Only when it came to protecting the two children, he seemed extremely rigid, and even Carla had already guessed that the reason for Jonathan's death would definitely have something to do with protecting their identities. Maybe Jonathan would rather die than let them save him, just like the plot shown in Man of Steel. The car was still moving fast, but the atmosphere in the car gradually became quieter. Carla's dignified expression and atmosphere affected the family members, and they all noticed her strangeness. "Honey? What's the matter?" Martha thought Carla was worried about herself. "Are you worried that I can't accept you leaving home?" "It's okay, as you said, I can come to the metropolis to see you." Carla shook her head, and was about to tell her previous foresight, but at this moment, they were already able to see the situation ahead. "What is that?" "Run!" Outside the windows, other drivers on the road began to abandon their cars and flee. This road is not the kind of deserted road where you can hardly see anyone, so it is unrealistic to turn around and drive away. "I would rather escape on foot." Jonathan stopped the car slowly. The front was impassable, and many cars were parked there, blocking the road. The family got out of the car and looked forward. "I saw a tornado appeared on the road somehow, and the scale of the tornado was getting bigger and bigger." Gradually, the closest vehicles on both sides began to be affected, and many of them didn't have time to get out of the car, and there were bursts of terrified cries. Jonathan subconsciously wanted to go forward to help, but Carla grabbed his hand. Carla shook her head at Jonathan. Jonathan didn't know that Carla saw the future picture of himself dead, so he just comforted, "You and Clark stay here to protect your mother, I'll go ahead and have a look." "I'm going to." Clark was about to follow. But Jonathan pointed at Clark. "Clark, stop, don't let more people see your strength." He cared a lot about Clark exposing himself. Clark was very helpless and powerless. He could only watch Jonathan walk towards the tornado step by step. "What to do?" "Just watch." Clark turned to Carla and asked, "Just watch him approach danger." Martha answered Clark before Carla, "Listen to your dad, he'll take care of it." "No, he can't solve it." Carla shook her head vigorously. She foresaw Jonathan's death. He would die. "But there are many people around here, if she rushes out with this body, she will definitely be recognized." Seeing the tornado in front of him getting more and more violent, Jonathan was helping some trapped people escape in the face of danger. He did help others, but those who were helped turned and ran away. Jonathan didn't care. He was still saving others as quickly as possible, and he had already rescued the last person. But at this moment, just as he was about to turn around and leave, a dog abandoned by its owner at a critical moment appeared in a car. He didn't have any hesitation, and turned around to knock on the window to rescue the dog. But with his power it is difficult because the glass is of good quality. Should the car company be praised? "Joe," Martha exclaimed in a critical moment. Seeing that Jonathan might be swept in by a tornado in the next second. Clark subconsciously wanted to rush over, but Jonathan seemed to guess his actions, turned around, shook his head in Clark's direction, and raised his hand to stop him. Clark was used to being obedient, and he had followed his father's teachings almost all his life. At this time, he thought about the past again, but he still couldn't help but obey his father's words. Jonathan looked up again. He also has an adopted daughter, Carla. But he didn't have time to stop this time, because Carla was no longer by Martha's side. Where did she go? Jonathan was anxious, he never wanted to see Carla expose her powers in order to save himself. But it's too late. SHHH. A piece of clothing was scattered around. Carla took off her glasses, and suddenly changed into a dark blue top, a bright red skirt and cape, and a pair of red knee-high boots. Kinjin's long hair flutters behind her, but Carla still can't help showing the Superman's figure, because she can't just watch her adoptive father die anyway. Whoosh! A red and blue figure quickly rushed to the front of the tornado. The people behind looked at the figure and exclaimed, "Is that a bird? Is that a plane? No, it's Superman." Carla turned around, revealing the first appearance of Superman, but it was her, the female Superman, who appeared first. The next moment, Carla came in front of Jonathan. She stretched out her hand and patted it lightly, and the glass of the car was easily shattered by her immediately. The dog inside was startled, but before he could react, Carla grabbed the deadly scrunchie. Carla held out her other hand to Jonathan. Jonathan yells at Carla, "You shouldn't be here." Carla shrugged and grabbed Jonathan's shoulder, "Sorry Dad, I'm in a rebellious period." Jonathan was speechless. How could there be a 30-year-old rebellious daughter? But knowing that there is no way to take her, and she is already like this, what else can I do? Just like that, Carla held the dog in one hand and her adoptive father in the other, turned around and flew back in this posture. Because Carla has a biological standpoint, she will not hurt Jonathan and the dog, but will return to Martha steadily. Martha took a step forward and grabbed Jonathan excitedly. Carla winked at Clark, handed the dog over to her, and turned back into the eye of the tornado. Suck! Flying there, Carla opened her mouth and took a deep breath. She could have inhaled the entire tornado, but there was a lot of dust in the tornado, and she didn't want to wash her lungs afterwards. So Carla exhales super breath violently, but instead of freezing air, it just exhales in the opposite direction. The huge amounts of reaction force dissipated the inertia of the tornado in an instant, and the tornado that might cause terrible natural disasters was easily solved by her. When all the dust settled, everyone watched Carla foolishly floating from midair to the ground. Wow! I don't know who started it first, and there was loud applause and cheers all around. Carla looked around, feeling a sense of accomplishment in her heart, but she immediately flew into the air again, and quickly disappeared into the sky without a trace. It wasn't time for Superman to debut. Carla knew that she was already a bit out of line, and she must not continue to influence her. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 37. Because of that tornado, the entire road was temporarily paralyzed, and a large number of cars were destroyed, including some nearby houses. It will take at least 2 to 3 days to clear and normal traffic to resume. Jonathan and the others had no choice but to turn back halfway. By the way, the puppy they rescued couldn't find its owner, so they brought it back together. Carla was the first to return home. She was so fast that she easily broke through the sound barrier. No one knew her whereabouts. She went around and returned home. When Jonathan and the others came back, Carla found a set of clothes from the package she had packed before and changed into them. Looking at Carla's handsome uniform, Clark showed an envious expression. He didn't have his own battle suit yet. When did you put on this suit? Jonathan looked at Carla's battle suit, getting angrier the more he looked at it. You shouldn't take risks. Should I just watch you die? Carla turned to look at Jonathan. Sorry, I can't do that. Jonathan was relieved and helpless. I'm worried that you and Clark's identities will be exposed because of this. If the world knows about your existence, do you know what will happen? Carla, the two of you can easily destroy the world. Everyone is panicking. Even if you have no malicious intentions, if no one believes you, you will only be targeted by the whole world. The world is not ready to accept you. Jonathan had always seen clearly. Carla put a long-sleeved sweater on indiscriminately. The tights were okay, but the cloak was a bit in the way, which made her feel a little annoyed. Martha sighed, and came to help her hide the cloak under the hem of her blouse, and lifted up her skirt. Jonathan looked back, but it was nothing. Carla was wearing an extra pair of shorts under her skirt, which she used as safety pants, to protect herself. No wonder she was able to wear pants outside the skirt before, but she could lift the skirt up. It's a little unladylike though. As for the shoes, Carla hides her boots in her trousers and puts a pair of shoes on top of the boots. In fact, This is also the first time she has done this, but Carla is worried that she may have to do this frequently in the future to prepare for battles at any time, which can be regarded as a preview in advance. Jonathan glared at Martha, seeing her skillfully helping Carla straighten her clothes. She knew that she must have done it secretly for Carla before, so just pet her. Martha didn't care at all. Jonathan sighed and reminded Carla, "This is only the first time, no one has had time to take your video yet, but never take chances, Carla, never do it again next time. It's you, don't be too selfish, Dad." "You say I'm selfish." The father and daughter suddenly quarreled, and the atmosphere of the confrontation was a little stiff. Martha patted Carla at a loss, "Don't talk to your father like that." Carla didn't say the hurtful words that it wasn't her biological father, but looked directly into Jonathan's eyes and raised her own question, "You are the head of the family, don't you think that if something happens to you, if so, what should we do with this family? What about my mother? Where about Clark? Don't you want to set an example for him? Don't you want him to become a hero who can bring hope to the earth and mankind in the future? What about me? If I helplessly watch you were taken away by the tornado and remained indifferent, what have I become? How should I let go in the future? I definitely know that you are worried about the situation of me and Clark on the earth, and even attract potential threats and enemies, and even if you are not caught by the government, you may be wanted for a lifetime. You have your reasons. We are very grateful and understand the support, but we also have our reasons. I have never regarded this family as a game of playing house. You are family in my heart. Let children see their parents with their own eyes. Don't you think it's cruel to die in front of you? Carla has lived in this family for more than 10 years, and has integrated the most sincere feelings. People's hearts are fleshy, how can a person who has been kind to you for half his life have no feelings? Even if they are not related by blood, she still regards them as her parents. So Carla clearly wants to be a superhero, but reaches out to hold Jonathan to prevent him from passing. Is this what a hero does? It was impossible for her to just watch at the critical moment, but she took the risk of revealing her identity and made a move. It's impossible for me to watch you. My most important family members are being hurt. The forces of nature can't do it, let alone others, Carla said, turning and pushing the door and going out. Oddly enough, the puppy came out with her. Maybe it remembers that Carla saved it. Or maybe it's completely obeying the instinctive memory that Hoboing was once controlled. Could it be that he thought she was his mother? Outside the house, Carla found a baseball from nowhere and showed it to the puppy, letting him smell it and remember it. Then Carla tossed the baseball in front of her field. The dog had obviously been trained or experienced this kind of game, so he rushed out immediately and brought the baseball back after a while. Carla took the baseball and was about to throw it again. There was movement behind him, and Jonathan chased him out of the house. Seeing that Carla has already started teasing this new puppy who just joined today, she also laughed and wanted to open the topic, "If no one comes to look for it, it should replace you as a new member of the family." Carla's hands froze. "What do you mean? Is she a dog?" It turned out that this little thing replaced him. Gritting her teeth, Carla raised her hand and threw it away. Just watching the baseball disappear into the distant sky with a swoosh. The puppy was dumbfounded, and rushed into the farmland instinctively, but let alone this farmland, it doesn't matter if the baseball is still in this country. It is very difficult for the dog to come back to Carla innocently. If it could talk, it would definitely say, "Am I a human? You are a real dog." Even Jonathan was speechless. Carla turned around and sat down in the back compartment of the pickup truck beside her. The puppy was circling under her feet. Carla didn't try to pick it up, and the puppy sat down obediently beside Carla. Jonathan also came to the side of the pickup truck, reached out and patted Carla's younger generation gently, and said softly, "I don't know that you are here to save me. Dad is definitely very touched, but I don't want you and Clark as enemies of the world." "Dad, you're thinking too much." Carla finally couldn't help it anymore, turned her head, and looked at Jonathan seriously. "Let's not talk about anything else, there are existences on the earth that are more threatening than us." Then Clark ran to the deep Aquaman country 10,000 meters deep to make a big fuss, and then caused a war between the surface and the underwater world. Jonathan was taken aback. "Deep Aquaman country?" Carla nodded. "Ah, it's the legendary Atlantis, it really exists, and it's in the depths of the sea, with a population of more than hundreds of thousands of people, and their technology is leading hundreds of years on the ground. I guess they can even build spaceships. At worst, they will be pulled out and blamed, and the ground will fight them to the death, and no one will care about me and Clark. Jonathan was taken aback, sweating coldly. Don't mess around, the world will be destroyed. Carla pouted, that definitely was the worst solution, but it was also a good solution. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 38. Carla is already a badass. In short, under her intimidation, Jonathan didn't know what to do for a while. You said Atlantis was real? Seriously? Jonathan seemed to be very concerned about the Straight Kingdom. Carla shrugged, and suddenly she jumped up into the air, and raised her hand. In the next second, a baseball fell into her hands accurately. Jonathan's eyelids twitched when he saw it. Did this kid throw a baseball around the earth just now? Leaving aside the fact that the baseball is still intact at such a high speed, how much strength does it take to go around the earth so easily? One more. You just wanted the dog to find this baseball. Jonathan looked at Carla speechlessly. Were you kidding? Even the dog opened its mouth, staring at Carla dumbfounded. Are you serious? Carla landed lightly on the ground, shook the ball at the dog, and was about to throw it forward again. Jonathan behind him couldn't help reminding her, you must first decide whether you are playing with it or with yourself. Carla's shoulders tilted. Dad, when did you learn to be so black-bellied? As she spoke, she just threw the ball into the field not far ahead this time, watched the puppy rush out, turned around and returned to the pickup truck, stretched out her hand and sat on it. Jonathan put his arms around Carla's shoulders and sighed, when did you grow up like this? I still remember when you and Clark first came home. At that time, Carla still had distrust and great vigilance towards him and Martha, and even some hostility. It took them a long time to finally get Carla to give Clark to their care day and night. Including Carla herself finally willing to call their parents. Unknowingly, so much time has passed, Carla has grown up, and will even be 30 years old in 2 or 3 years. If she would be honest, maybe Martha would be happy to arrange a blind date for her, find a husband early and have 2 or 3 children, and the family will grow stronger. Definitely they did mention that they hoped that Carla would get married early, but Carla has always resisted. Once she directly told them not to even think about it. Want to hold a grandson? Tell Clark to find a girlfriend and it'll be over. Clark lay innocently shot. But Clark has also grown up, and in the coming year he will have to decide whether he wants to go to university, or whether he is ready to work after graduating from high school. If it's the latter, you can indeed get married and have children. In fact, this is normal in a certain country. For example, in the bucket list, Carter Chambers should have a good future. He has already been admitted to college, and was even the main force of the basketball team at that time. He will have a decent job in the future. That is beyond doubt. However, because of his innocence, his girlfriend became pregnant. Carter had to choose to plunge into the workshop after graduating from high school and work as a repairman all his life to support his family. So Carla has the same attitude now. Dad, you should teach Clark to bring a girl back quickly, otherwise who do you plan to inherit this farm? Me? I don't want it, Carla shook her head. Jonathan was angry. He wasn't dead yet, and he didn't say that he would hand over the farm to her. Go to bed early, and you don't have to worry about Clark. Jonathan couldn't talk to her anymore. The child always threatened himself. Was he just cursing himself to die early? Jonathan turned away angrily. Carla didn't care. She looked down at the dog who had found the ball and brought it to her. She smiled and thought of using psychokinesis to ingest the baseball in front of her, and without taking a shot, the baseball flew out automatically. The dog turned around and was about to chase, but found that the baseball was not going forward, but flying into the sky, and disappeared in the sky in an instant. The dog looked at Carla with resentful eyes, got up and left lonely, and stopped playing with her. Because of the road, Jonathan couldn't see Carla off and move. In desperation, Carla chose to take the train, and with Clark's help and company, the siblings came to the metropolis together. When I got off the train, Carla walked in front alone. I saw that she was wearing a standard professional uniform, a suit and leather shoes. What shouldn't be is that she was obviously wearing men's clothing. Carla was wearing a pair of glasses, and was only carrying a suitcase full of clothes in her hand. It looked like a large suitcase, but she couldn't see the weight in her hand. People around might think it was an empty suitcase. It was worse for Clark. Although Carla was kind enough to not bring all the pots and pans, Jonathan and Martha even bought her a TV. Carla is very speechless. Not only are there a lot of choices for this thing in the metropolis, but it is also cheaper. Why do you have to buy it in the small town at home? But anyway, Clark will help her carry it, and it's fine. Then I saw that Clark was struggling to carry a TV with his left hand, and he had to help her carry a bigger package with his right hand, which contained Carla's entire set of bedding. Everything in the house was untouched, and this was a new set. Ask, why do you want a younger brother? Definitely is bullying. Definitely, with Carla and Clark's strength, it's not heavy on them, it's just in the way. When walking towards the exit, Carla also saw the news about yesterday's tornado on the wall-mounted TV in the aisle, but because no one was filming the scene at the time, only two hosts were talking about some information. Not even a word about Carla. Carla knew in her heart that before there was any actual evidence, she must have been suppressed by her superiors. She even guessed that it might have something to do with Donnie's department. After all, this kind of thing is not easy to leak out, unless the day comes when it is needed. So it is difficult for ordinary people to know those secrets, not for anything else. Think about it, in ordinary daily life, a piece of news about aliens suddenly pops up, and it may threaten the Earth at any time, and they don't even know the attitude of the other party, is it good or bad, friendly or hostile to Earthlings. Apart from causing turmoil and panic to the society, what is the meaning of such news? So it is better to let only a small number of people know, there is no need to make a scene known to the whole world. Carla glanced at Clark triumphantly. Clark knew what she meant, and she still mouthed silently, Dad is making too much of a fuss. Clark shook his head with a wry smile, but you still have to be honest for a while. Hey Clark, who's the sister from? Okay. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 39. With Clark's help, Carla simply arranged the new home. Not bad, just buy what you need directly in the nearby shopping mall. That's why she said, wouldn't it be more convenient to buy it nearby without having to worry about it at home? It's just that Clark was pulled over by her as a labor force again. To reward Clark, Carla also cooked for him and made him a sumptuous dinner. When did you learn to cook? Clark was surprised. Carla snorted softly, just kidding, I have traveled all over the world. Not only have I seen the scenery of various places, but I have also eaten almost all the delicacies of various places. So taking advantage of the travel, I learned all kinds of cuisine. Learn to cook with super learning ability, just read it once. Carla is now probably the only gourmet in the world who has thoroughly studied the cuisines of the world. She had thought about it before, if she didn't pass the interview with Planet Daily, she could actually open a restaurant by herself. It is not a Chinese restaurant, nor a Western restaurant, but a combination of Chinese and Western, mixing all the menus in the world. Definitely not needed now. Clark ate a delicious meal. Carla made chicken nuggets and potatoes in a pressure cooker, and then prepared a dish of braised pork, especially the pot-wrapped pork, which was eaten by Clark because it was sour and sweet. Carla is helpless, it is obviously the favorite of girls. But at this time she has become a good sister who dotes on her younger brother again. In particular, Carla found a lot of steamed rice in the rice cooker that she bought around the corner. It was the first time Clark had eaten such rice, so he gave a thumbs up, and he just hung on to the rice cooker and devoured it. Carla only managed to grab a bowl of rice. Is this kid crazy? In fact, Martha's worries are a little unnecessary. After all, Carla has traveled the world alone for a week, and it is absolutely fine to take care of herself. Clark even wanted to move in with his sister, because the Chinese food she cooked was really delicious. It's just that Clark still didn't choose to stay overnight, but had to fly back in the middle of the night. Carla also warned Clark not to go back and talk nonsense to her mother, she still likes the food made by Martha very much, it tastes like home. Clark expressed his understanding, then said goodbye to Carla, and flew back home overnight. Carla looked at the mess left after Clark left, and had no choice but to clean it up. In the blink of an eye, a week later, Carla came to the office building of Planet Daily again. She changed into an elite female white-collar dress again. There was nothing wrong with it except that the skirt was replaced by trousers and the shoes were small flat leather shoes. A head of beautiful long hair is tied into a single ponytail and hangs obediently on the back. Carla is still wearing those glasses. At first glance, she has a sense of sight of an intellectual literary big sister. Today she came to work officially, holding a folder in her hand, which contained the planning she had completed alone in the past week, and it was also a task assigned to her by the editor-in-chief before. Carla was asked to make a plan, which was about her self-column copy. Carla is also unambiguous, using her rich knowledge to get it done easily. There are even 3 categories in total. The first category is a travel column, the second category is a food column, and the third category is more realistic, introducing culture, inheritance, customs column. It depends on which editor-in-chief will take a fancy to. When Carla arrives, everyone else is already at work. When Perry saw Carla, he warmly greeted her and accompanied her to the editor's office. The only person Carla knows here is Perry, including for Perry, Carla is also the only junior from the same school after him. So the two naturally wanted to get closer, and Perry was willing to take care of this junior who he knew in school. In the office, the editor-in-chief began to review the 3 copywritings prepared by Carla. The more he looked at the back, the more dignified his expression was, and his brows were tightly knit together. Perry, who was by the side, asked with some concern, "Editor-in-chief, how is it going? Is there anything that needs to be revised?" Instead, Carla looked indifferent, as if she was an outsider, but she was clearly the one involved. Perry gave her a sneaky look. It was true that the emperor was not in a hurry and the eunuchs were in a hurry. No, he is not a eunuch. The editor-in-chief looked at it for a while before raising his head, glanced at Perry, and then turned his gaze to Carla, took a long breath and said, "The 3 copywritings are all good, I really want to accept them all at once. But you are still I'm a newcomer, so I plan to let you only be responsible for 1 column for the time being, and when you become more proficient in your business and gain a reputation, you can find an opportunity to create a new column." It turned out that it wasn't that it was bad, but that it was so good that he wanted to accept all 3 proposals. Doesn't this mean that there are 3 columns for Carla? This status is an honor that only those old seniority who have already gained a reputation outside have. It is even difficult for ordinary people to have a column dedicated to themselves. It can be seen how outstanding Carla's ability to write copywriting is. At the same time, the editor-in-chief is also testing Carla. If her level of column writing is far inferior to that of copywriting, she will not even be able to keep a column. Only when Carla becomes famous for her writing will a new column be created for her. It's just that it doesn't need to be said. Tell me about your thoughts, which aspect do you want to start with? The editor-in-chief threw Carla a difficult problem. The 3 copywritings were all good, but it was difficult to choose. At that time, the food column was also very popular, and there were even many TV programs that featured food as the selling point, such as teaching people how to cook, or cooking competitions, food tasting and so on. Definitely travel style is also good. This is the era when the world is restoring peace, rich people will inevitably want to go out and see the world. So Carla's experience of traveling the world helps a lot. As for the introduction of the world in a realistic style, it will also attract many readers who are curious about this aspect. In short, the editor-in-chief always feels like he has found a treasure. Carla's final choice is to use the travel style as her first battle. Because this aspect needs to be better written, and it will be very attractive, and even have the opportunity to take some photos and share the beautiful scenery I saw from her perspective. So Carla started working at the Daily Planet, and she got her own desk. It's not an office, she is not qualified to have her own office, and even Perry is just an ordinary employee now, and she doesn't have an office either. From this day on, Carla has been commuting to get off work every day and can take at least 1 day off every week. And Carla is not a reporter yet, so she doesn't need to go out to run news, just sit in the office all day and write at least 1 column a week. Carla's writing style is at least much better than the author's, which made her very popular among readers. Many people even came to the gate of the newspaper office to wish her to write an article every day. The editor-in-chief also talked to her once. Carla is very helpless. Even if the earth is so big, if you have to write an article every day, you will finish it sooner or later, so you refuse decisively. Why don't you change someone? The editor-in-chief is also very helpless. This girl is really rude. If you can change people, what can you say? Isn't this a column for you? Everything was normal at first, but Carla seemed to have forgotten about the tornado incident, and Supergirl just had a flash of inspiration and then disappeared, as if she had never appeared before. But can she really go on like this forever? A year after Carla's comeback, a piece of news suddenly caused a stir. Bruce Wayne, the son of the Wayne Group who had disappeared for 7 years, suddenly returned. Even Metropolis, which is next door to Gotham, was screened by this news. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 40. Unknowingly, a year has passed since Karla came to the Daily Planet. That is, 4 years have passed since she circled the world. There is nothing to say about this year. The Planet Daily is not a newspaper dedicated to reporting on Superman's deeds, but has its own news sources and various columns of its own as selling points. Among them, Karla's column has gradually become the biggest selling point of Planet Daily since the first issue was sold. She even has a group of fans of her own, and there are many fanatical fans who once ran to the gate of the Planet Daily, wishing that she could write more, preferably 1 article a day. Because the beauty of the world she portrayed is so fascinating. Sitting on the Arctic glacier, the polar bear in the distance led the little polar bear to look for food in a naive manner. The northern lights under the night sky were dazzling. Karla also attached beautiful pictures of the northern lights, and once photographed a polar bear leading a picture of 2 young suns. This degree almost caused Arctic heat, and many people wanted to see the northern lights. Because it is dangerous and costly to go to the real top of the North Pole, Karla gave a lot of advice at the end. In fact, there are many safer places to see the northern lights. And the top of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is known as the highest peak in the world. The mountain is covered with snow all the year round, and the highest point may even touch the clouds. Climbing Mount Everest is very dangerous, even for professionals. It is possible to sleep on it forever. But Karla climbed up in person, and took pictures of the scenery and environment on the top of the mountain. She is just a columnist, but she has recorded such precious records so truthfully and so bravely that more and more people are flocking to her articles. This year has been so fulfilling for Karla that she almost forgot about her other identity and only focused on the work in front of her. Moreover, Karla's development is very smooth, and she will soon be able to get a lot of royalties, and officially signed a contract with the Planet Daily. Everything seemed so smooth and peaceful. Karla has at least 1 day off every week, and sometimes she chooses to go back to her hometown to be with her parents. This year Clark will go to university and leave her hometown. She is afraid that her adoptive parents will be lonely. Sometimes she would stay in her apartment and have a good rest for a day. At that time, Martha came by train to accompany her, tidy up the house, wash and cook for her. Originally, it was no problem for Karla to take care of herself, and the house was well organized. But as soon as Martha came, the house suddenly became a mess. Although she is already 28 years old, Karla still seems to be a young child who likes to act like a baby with her parents. Definitely this time she did not continue to be unfamiliar with Danny and Jennifer, but often found time to get together. Sometimes it was after get off work in the afternoon, and the 3 of them found a bar to have a drink. During the period, I also encountered a lot of experiences of being harassed. After all, they are all beautiful. However, Karla is no longer needed to protect Jennifer and Danny. The 2 of them have also practiced self-defense at some point. In Donnie's words, her profession requires her to have a certain self-protection ability. And Jennifer is a trustworthy and upright prosecutor because of her stern face, and sometimes uses self-defense techniques, for example, if she is targeted by a prisoner. Everything was going smoothly. Clark was also admitted to the Metropolitan University, and he wanted to follow his sister's life trajectory to study at the Metropolitan University. Karla is also ready to welcome Clark next month, and she even wants Clark to live in her own apartment instead of the dormitory. Anyway, there was already a spare guest room, and the apartment she rented was so big that it could accommodate her 2 siblings. However, on this day, a piece of news disrupted Karla's rhythm. Bruce Wayne, who disappeared for 7 full years and was even declared dead, suddenly announced his return. The news went viral even at the Met, and it was in the newspapers that afternoon. It had nothing to do with Karla, she just glanced at it and threw it aside, because she knew the news a long time ago. Bruce called Karla before going home and said he was coming back. That is, the night before, when Karla was about to go to bed, she hung up the phone after saying crazy. Does it have something to do with your sister whether you go home or not? The 2 of them were just ordinary friends at most, even if they exchanged phone numbers and kept in touch with each other from time to time, they were not so close that they would rush to him to congratulate him. So Karla didn't take it to heart at all. But just as she was about to leave work today, the editor-in-chief called Karla over. There is another change this year. The previous editor-in-chief has retired because of his age. And the new editor-in-chief is none other than Perry. Karla wondered that although Perry had a good business, he couldn't get his job in terms of qualifications. It was only later that Karla found out that Perry had actually made great contributions to the newspaper. Apart from discovering Karla, he also discovered many outstanding journalists, and even Perry recruited members of many clubs from his student days. Unconsciously, Perry's position in the company is getting higher and higher, and it is reasonable for him to become the editor-in-chief. And today, Perry called Karla into the office. "Sit," Perry beckoned to Karla, only to see that he was late and she had already sat down. Perry didn't care, and asked, "How is it? Is next week's column already written?" "I'll take a look first, after all, I'm also your fan." Karla gave a hee-hee with a half-smile. "Brother, I just handed in this week's paper yesterday, and you're going to next week's now? Do you really think I'm writing an article every day?" In fact, Karla has already seen that Perry's looking for her is definitely not for this matter, but for something else. Karla is not stupid either, she rolled her beautiful big eyes and immediately guessed what was going on. Raising her right hand, she deliberately pushed the frame with her middle finger. Karla narrowed her eyes slightly and warned Perry, "Don't go too far." Perry also knew that she had guessed it, so he stopped concealing it and coughed dryly to signal Karla to put down her fingers. "It's too uncivilized, she is such a beautiful girl." "Ahem, Karla, you and Bruce have known each other since we were students, and now news of him is flying everywhere, so I plan to send someone to do an exclusive interview with him," Perry finally said his purpose of finding Karla. Karla knew that he was aiming at this idea, and only Perry knew best. Karla and Bruce used to be classmates, and even had many overlapping activities. Maybe they had a good relationship in the eyes of others. In fact, because the two had an encounter while traveling around the world, Karla also received a lot of help and advice from Bruce, and the relationship was indeed better than when she was a student. "But... so you're telling me to go to Gotham? I'm not going to that goddamn place," Karla jumped up, telling her to go to Gotham? Hell, she wasn't going. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 41. Metropolis is very close to Gotham City, and it is very close, very close. In fact, go across a bridge in the Metropolis, cross a highway, and then you will have Gotham City. There is only a lake or inland sea in the middle. At the moment Karla is driving a sedan and is crossing that bridge, on his way to Gotham City. After all, she was tricked by Perry, who wanted her to interview Bruce. That BD, Karla gritted her teeth and cursed under her breath. And the reason why Perry was able to buy her was that the conditions he gave were very simple, and he bought her with 1 month's paid vacation. The premise is that Karla has to prepare 4 columns a week in advance. Sure enough, the holidays are still much more fragrant. This month, she can have a good rest, and even go home to spend time with her family and help Clark prepare for college. As for the 4 columns, to be honest, she had already prepared the manuscripts. Why did Perry know that she only handed in this week's manuscript yesterday, and then next week's manuscript today? In fact, Perry also knew that she had manuscripts for several columns, but she just didn't bother to break through them. Damn Perry, you must beat him up when you go back. The distance from Metropolis to Gotham City is not far, but that's just the distance between 2 cities, but it doesn't mean that arriving in Gotham City is equivalent to arriving at Bruce's home. Karla had called Bruce when he was on the bridge, and asked about Bruce's current whereabouts. He had just returned, and now he was staying at Wayne's Manor to sleep late. Wayne Manor is a super manor built outside Gotham City. If Karla wants to visit, he has to cross half of Gotham City. Trouble is dead, Karla muttered, still complaining. Now she can't wait to fly over with her own car, it's faster. However, now she could only drive obediently, at a moderate speed, and after spending a total of several hours, she arrived at the gate of Wayne Manor at noon. The Wayne Manor may cover an area of several thousand square meters. The garden and lawn around the outside are all decorated, and there is a splendid and magnificent castle inside, like the castle of a medieval lord. That's where the Wayne family has lived for several generations. The value of this castle alone is enough for an ordinary person to spend a lifetime, provided it is not corrupted. If you just buy an airplane, a yacht, or another castle like this, you will run out of money soon. Carla called Bruce again at the outermost door, which opened with a click. Carla didn't hesitate, and drove along the wide road of the manor to the gate of the castle. When she came to the gate of the castle, there was a handsome old gentleman waiting to greet her in front of the steps. "Hello, Miss Carla, I am Alfred Pennyworth, the housekeeper of this manor. You can also call me Alfred," the gentleman butler introduced himself. Carla stopped the car at the steps, regardless of whether it was a parking space or not. "Definitely it's not a parking lot." Carla glanced at the butler. "Or can I call you Afu?" The butler smiled wryly. He was the same age as Bruce's father, and Carla and Bruce were the same age and were classmates. "I always feel impolite." Carla shrugged. "The name Alfred is too long. I think Alfred is good. What do you think?" In fact, she already knew that this is the Afu known as the housekeeper man, who has helped Batman out of danger many times, and is even Batman's most loyal and beneficial backing. Afu didn't dwell on the issue of name and title, but turned around and made a please gesture, and said, "Master Wayne is already waiting for you in the living room, please." Carla nodded, and followed Afu. The two walked up a long step in front of the door. After entering the door, they crossed a long corridor and came to a spacious living room. With the wealth of the Wayne Group family, not to mention the luxurious and historical cultural relics and decorations, Carla didn't bother to care about them. "When I came to the living room, I saw Bruce, whom I hadn't seen for several years, sitting in front of the sofa by the window. It was already noon, but he was only wearing pajamas, with his legs crossed, and a glass of red wine in his hand. Watch Carla come in." Carla rolled her eyes, turned her head and asked Afu, "Is that how you indulged him?" Afu shrugged. "After all, he is the young master. Although I don't want to see the heir of the Wayne family look so sloppy and decadent, I can't say anything." Bruce blinked. "Alfred, you've talked a lot." As soon as they sang together, they came in and heard him. "You know, he just came back from wandering, so why not take a break?" Carla pursed her lips, holding back a smile, and took a shoulder bag from her shoulder. It wasn't an LV bag, let alone a decoration, but a very practical, slightly large bag, and it wasn't a tool bag that I didn't care about. Carla started to dig things out of it. Bruce took a sip of the wine, but Afu forcibly took the glass away. He turned his head and looked at Carla's movements curiously. She took out the camera first, and clicked the shutter button of Bruce involuntarily. Bruce caught off guard and raised his hand to block it, and shouted, "Wait a minute, you don't intend to use these photos as the cover, do you?" Afu was about to leave to prepare black tea for the two of them. Hearing this, he couldn't help dissuading Carla. "Miss Carla, anyway, Master Wayne is also the heir of the Wayne Group and family." Bruce thought to himself that the rhetoric of "anyway" is needless to say. Carla waved the camera in her hand and threatened, "Why don't you go and change my clothes?" Bruce sighed, "Miss, who is begging whom now? There are countless people who want to interview him," but he only agreed because Carla is a friend. "I have to say that Perry is very smart. If it were another reporter from the metropolis, Bruce wouldn't have the time to deal with it. Wouldn't it be nice to sleep in if he had this time?" Faced with Carla's threat, Bruce had to go to his bedroom with a little helplessness, take a shower and change into formal clothes. It is said that a man depends on his clothes and a horse depends on his saddle. This saying is absolutely true. If the Bruce just now was completely a decadent and unrestrained young man, wearing pajamas and holding a glass of wine early in the morning, it would be outrageous at all. So the current Bruce is really a bit like the helm of the business empire Wayne Group. Afu also brought a pot of black tea to the two in time, and then disappeared voluntarily, allowing the two to chat alone. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 42. Facing Bruce, who had changed into a formal attire, Carla also asked him to pose a few poses. "This is a photo for the cover," replacing his previous sloppy look. Bruce was being manipulated helplessly by her, very obedient, at least he didn't want his previous photos to be published. "It seems that you also know the importance of appearance." Carla also joked with a smile, "I thought you didn't care all the time." Bruce couldn't help but let out a chuckle, "I remember you weren't much better back then, right?" The two were referring to their previous encounters while traveling the world, when neither of them was much better off. Carla shrugged. After taking the photo, she put away the camera, then took out a voice recorder and put it aside, took out a notebook and pen, and made a mouth gesture to indicate that it was about to start. Bruce sighed, "You definitely want to treat me to dinner, this interview will definitely make you a lot of money." "My money is nothing compared to yours, Bruce." Karla wasn't fooled. Bruce was about to start saying, "Didn't you find several uninhabited gold mines, and even a nice diamond vein?" Karla raised her hand in a SHH gesture. "Shut up, Bruce, those gold mines and diamond veins are the wealth of other countries, and she can mine some secretly at best. Okay, let's get into the topic officially. Mr. Bruce, you disappeared for 7 years before, and you didn't even have time to finish your university studies. Where have you been all these years?" Karla started to work, asking these are also very formal questions. Bruce wants to say, "Don't you know?" But he noticed that Karla's eyes were very threatening, so he cleverly changed his words and replied, "In fact, I have used these years to broaden my horizons. I have traveled to many places to allow myself to grow. At least personally I feel that I am much more mature now than before." "So you're planning to inherit the Wayne Group when you come back this time?" "That's not the case. Although it is indeed the Wayne family's property, it is also very good now, so I believe that the current executive's decision-making will only make Wayne Group better. Including the executive, Mr. Earl intends to take the Wayne Group public and then sell a large number of shares to cash out." Karla's question was already a bit too much, too sharp. She seemed to be saying that the current Wayne Group executive, Earl, was going to sell Wayne Group. The Wayne Group can be said to be the most important economic support for Gotham City. Not to mention how many people the Wayne Group has provided jobs, the significance of its original existence is the most important. It can even be said that most of the construction of Gotham City is supported by the Wayne Group. At least in terms of the setting of this world, the Wayne Group, especially in the era of Bruce's father, had encountered the Great Depression era. It was the efforts of the Wayne Group and Thomas Wayne that saved Gotham City from the crisis of extinction. This was also proved afterwards. Faced with Karla's sudden sharp question in a few words, Bruce was stunned for a moment. In fact, Bruce has nothing to do with the company's decision now. However, his superficial inaction does not mean that he did not act secretly. But that obviously couldn't be said in person, especially since Karla was going to report to the office. So in the end Bruce could only say something on the scene, "I believe this will make Wayne Group better." Karla didn't hold him accountable and repeated what he had said before, indicating that Bruce was just coping. Karla didn't mind at all, she was just doing it for work. Speaking of which, someone seems to have noticed recently that after Mr. Bruce came back, he suddenly frequented places where there were extravagant feasts, and often spent a lot of money, sometimes with those movie stars, and sometimes with celebrities in the social circle. Just bought a hotel for them. Is there a business plan, or is it just a hobby of a swinger? Don't be so contemptuous or sharp, right? Bruce finally couldn't take it anymore. Karla's question was more like questioning and interrogation, which made it difficult for him to answer. In fact, those are just his superficial acting skills. After Bruce returned to Gotham City, he discovered that Gotham City is darker than he knew before he left. The boss of the gang, Carmine Falcone, has almost completely controlled Gotham City. From top to bottom, from black to white, he almost controls everything with one hand. But no one can catch him, because he is black and white, and even some official people are his people. This is an exaggeration, after all, the prototype of Gotham City can be considered New York City. If the metropolis is New York City in the daytime, singing and dancing, prosperous and peaceful, so Gotham City is New York City at night, needless to say. However, this boss can control the entire Gotham City, and it is not an exaggeration to say that he is the boss behind Gotham City. In order to deal with him, Bruce knew that he had to use some means beyond common sense, and he could no longer use ordinary laws to deal with him. So under a Fuzz suggestion, Bruce began to put on a mask. During the day, he was a bohemian son. At night, he had already started to act, turning into a shadow under the night, and began to search for Carmine Falcone's evidence. But there is definitely no way to tell Karla about these things, let alone ask her to report everywhere. So I can only ask Karla to spare herself, please stop being so sharp. Karla explained, no way, after all, news always needs some gimmicks. You don't know that a certain country's news has always been disregarding everything for the sake of traffic and eyeballs. It doesn't matter whether it is true or not, as long as it can be sold. It's not good for you to say that yourself, Bruce said dumbfounded. Carla didn't care. Anyway, I have my own column now, and I'm not a reporter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you, but what about others? And, Carla raised her eyelids to look at Bruce, her eyes suddenly revealed a look of accusation. UBD, don't you know that your gossip will make a girl sad? Who? Was it you? Bruce joked with a smile. His smile was not serious, it was just a joke, because he knew that Carla and himself were just friends, and they were limited to friends. Carla was actually his favorite, but he had a sweetheart. And Bruce is very self-conscious, he is not Carla's type, otherwise there will be ambiguity back then. Carla clapped the notebook in her hand. Do you want me to ask you all the gossip again? It's definitely not me, I mean Jennifer. Do you remember her? She liked you when she was in school, and she has been around you for so many years there has never been another man. I really don't know what's wrong with you BD, you're just a troublemaker. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 43. For this exclusive interview with Bruce, Carla did a very good job, because Bruce has always been the one who suffers. Seeing that the two had a good relationship, Bruce accepted Carla's interview appointment, but many of Carla's questions were too sharp, which made him uncomfortable. Plus Carla has a bit of a personal vendetta, because Bruce has recently started dating celebrities and courtesans, which has made Jennifer very sad recently. In fact, Carla and Danny feel very helpless towards Jennifer. Obviously she and Bruce didn't have much intersection in school, so they really don't know why she is so infatuated with Bruce. In the evening, Carla declined Bruce's offer to have dinner together, and drove back to her home in Metropolis overnight. Just kidding, she doesn't want to continue to make Jennifer sad. Seriously, why does Jennifer always think she's having an affair with Bruce? Don't treat her as a rival in love, okay? What Jennifer really needs to worry about is actually a prosecutor named Rachel Dawes, who works in Gotham City. Like Jennifer's job in Metropolis, the young girl named Rachel is also the prosecutor of Gotham City, but the position is not as high as Jennifer's. Jennifer is the chief prosecutor, which is equivalent to the position of a judge, the kind who can issue search warrants and arrest warrants at critical moments. Rachel is an assistant to the Gotham City Attorney General. Sometimes Carla really sighs, she didn't expect her two girlfriends to climb to such a high position now. That naturally proves that they have sufficient ability and skills. It is said that when Carla said goodbye to Bruce, she also met Rachel's visit. It's actually Bruce's birthday tomorrow, and Rachel has come to give him a gift, and says that tomorrow might not be time to celebrate. When Carla heard this, she had to throw her hands in a hug and wish Bruce a happy birthday. This is your gift. Bruce was speechless, too stingy. Carla said in her heart that besides her family, he is the first person of the opposite sex to be embraced by her. Don't be dissatisfied, BD. When Carla left, Rachel watched Carla drive away with obvious sourness, and asked Bruce, "Is she your new girlfriend?" Bruce quickly explained, "She was my classmate in college and now works for Planet Daily, so I just accepted her interview. I hope she won't embarrass me too much." Bruce's worries are unnecessary, because it will definitely not be too good. The next day, Carla got up early and came to the Planet Daily with the materials compiled last night and the 4 columns prepared in advance. Perry snorted after reading her article. "I knew it." He guessed that Carla had a manuscript in her hand, but she never sent it out, keeping readers' appetites. "Don't send it out all at once," Carla threatened Perry. "As I said before, I plan to go back to my hometown this month. Even if you call me, I won't answer it." Perry looked at Carla helplessly. "Can't you improve a little more? I'm planning to write a 2nd and 3rd column for you." Carla immediately refused. "It's fine now." Perry could only sigh, stopped the topic, and took the materials Carla had sorted out. After a casual glance, Perry had to admire, "Only you can easily obtain such good information." He refers to Carla's interview with Bruce. In order to complete the work, Carla also digs out some things besides lace news. Definitely Bruce is not all frank, there is no need to say a lot of secrets. "Okay, if it's okay, I'm going home. In fact, I'm hesitation whether to drive back or take the train. Would you like to be reimbursed for the gas?" Carla said her hesitation. Her car was recently bought, and the loan has not been paid off. She felt a little distressed if she went back to the farm home, and she would be too embarrassed. Perry said without even thinking about it. Don't think about reimbursement, at most you can report some of the gas money you went to Gotham City. Carla rolled her eyes. The distance between Gotham City and Metropolis is not as good as if she went back home, and she could go back and forth twice. What a sting. Forget it, a month of paid vacation is better than anything else. Definitely, Perry is not taking special care of Carla. One is to buy Carla to let her conduct an exclusive interview with Bruce, and the other is that Carla has been working for a year, so she can take some annual leave, not to mention that she is not prepared enough in advance to publish a month's article yet. So Carla came to the company less than half an hour before leaving, and she was not driving to go home. To be precise, she didn't intend to go back to her apartment, but went straight to the town where her farm was located. The trip took several hours, and when Carla suddenly drove back to the farm, both her adoptive parents and Clark came out to greet her in surprise. And that dog. The original puppy is now grown up, standing upright and hugging Carla's waist, wagging his tail and holding a baseball in his mouth. Carla smiled and reached for the baseball, throwing it forward casually. The dog turned his head and watched the baseball disappear into the distant sky. He didn't wag his tail, and ran to Clark's feet whimpering. Martha went over and hugged her daughter dumbfounded. Don't bully it, it obviously likes you so much. Obviously, only Carla stayed at home for the shortest time, but this dog was the closest to her, but Carla always bullied it, but every time Carla came back, he would still find Carla with a ball in his mouth. Carla smiled and bent down, reached out and rubbed the dog's head. The dog immediately wagged its tail quickly again. Jonathan just came out of the field, it was noon, and he planned to make a casual lunch. At the moment, seeing Carla came back, she silently took off her muddy boots and put on ordinary shoes, picked up the car keys and prepared to start the pickup truck to go to the town to buy some delicious food. But Jonathan muttered mercilessly, if you are busy with work, you don't have to come back all the time. Martha turned her head and glared at her husband, my daughter came back to see me. Jonathan didn't argue with her either. Clark greeted him and said with a smile, welcome home, sister. Carla also greeted Clark, I'm back, by the way, Dad, I bought ingredients when I came back from the town, Clark, help me get them in. As soon as he came back, he unceremoniously instructed his younger brother to do things, as expected of his own sister. Clark went over to open the rear door, and sure enough, he took out a big bag of things. Especially when I saw a chicken inside, I couldn't help but say, is my sister planning to make chicken curry? What chicken curry? Martha looked at Carla curiously, she couldn't cook it. Carla bit her lip, pinched her waist and stared back at Clark, I don't know what you're talking about. This idiot, she said not to reveal that she can cook. She originally wanted her adoptive mother to cook roast chicken. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 44. Because of Clark's revelation, or disclosure, Carla finally revealed the secret that she already knew how to cook. So the lunch meal was prepared by her herself. Martha stood at the door of the kitchen with a look of relief watching Carla busy there. Why? Carla was a little uncomfortable, and her already superb cooking skills seemed to be in a hurry. Martha just shook her head with a gratified smile, and suddenly became a little excited, and said with a choked voice, my Carla has grown up. Carla hurried over and put her arms around her adoptive mother. Now she is the tallest in the family, with a height of 1.9 meters, even Clark is a little short. Carla comforted, please, I'm not married yet, I'm still the daughter of the family. But you still moved out and found your own life and job in the big city, Martha said, still with a little resentment. Jonathan's voice came from the living room outside the door, Martha, don't embarrass Carla. And I'm starving to death, come out and stop hindering her. Martha was angry, this old thing. Carla let go of her with a smile, and pushed her adoptive mother out, you are really going to hinder me, Mom, I can eat later. Because it was noon, Carla didn't prepare too many things, just as Clark expected, using the potatoes and carrots at home as ingredients, and the rice usually used to make soup, steamed a large pot of rice, and made a curry chicken. I also specially boiled some chicken in white water, and 2 eggs for the dog at home. I don't know when the dog's food became picky. Many people say that dogs cannot eat salty food, spicy food, this or that. I really don't know what dogs ate when there was no dog food. Maybe dog food first and dogs later? Martha and Jonathan may have eaten such a lunch for the first time, or they may have eaten chicken curry in other restaurants, but it is definitely not as sweet and delicious as today. Because this was the first time they had a meal cooked by their daughter. Including that dog also ate all the dog food mixed with Carla. Carla couldn't laugh or cry, should she save face like this. Then Carla also helped to clean up the things, and she also cleaned up the dishes. Martha began to secretly wipe tears from the side, saying that her daughter had grown up. This is also the reason why Carla has been doing nothing in front of her mother, for fear that she would think too much. Isn't it the same relationship when you grow up? Really, don't be so sad, okay? She obviously came home to live, why did it seem like she was going to move out back then? In this way, Carla returned to her home in the countryside. She had a full month's vacation to be with her family, and she had enough time to help Clark prepare for the upcoming college life. The only thing that upset Carla was Clark's plan to live in a dorm instead of moving in with her. I want to live on my own, sister. I have always been by your side and taken care of by you, but I have grown up, so it is time for me to be independent. Clark is still a young man with ideas. I want to take this opportunity to be independent, and I don't want to be taken care of by my family all the time. Facing Clark's complaint, Carla has no way to stop it. After all, she came here in the same way back then, and it didn't make sense that she wanted to be free at the beginning, but now she has a different attitude when facing her younger brother, and she can't double standard. The reason why Martha was so excited before may also be because of the shock, first her daughter, and now it's Clark's turn, both children are leaving home. Jonathan couldn't help feeling a little sentimental, and walked out before crying, and sat down in the back of the pickup truck outside. That was Carla's favorite position. Since she was a child, she liked to sit there and bask in the sun or look at the stars when she was free. Therefore, Jonathan will not dirty the compartment in many cases, so that she can sit or lie down at any time. Carla chased after him carefully, still wearing her adoptive mother's apron. She came to the side and stretched out her hands to grab Jonathan's thick shoulders, and asked with a smile, "Why? Do you feel old? Can't bear us to leave?" Jonathan snorted, "I'm not old yet." Carla just laughed, and suddenly made a suggestion after a while, "Otherwise, you and your mother will sell the farm and move to the metropolis together, then we can live together again." "I don't think Clark will want to inherit farm." Jonathan was moved, but he immediately shook his head and refused. "This is the painstaking effort of 5 or 6 generations of the Kent family, and it cannot be ruined in my hands." "Stubborn," Carla muttered. Jonathan pretended not to hear. This is the land where he has lived all his life, how could he be willing to leave? "And in case you get bored of staying in the big city, there's always another home for you to come back to." Jonathan smiled and looked at Carla, which was her and Clark's retreat, always. Carla hugged her adoptive father's neck excitedly. Jonathan broke away uncomfortably. It's not good to be seen as a baby at such an age. Carla rolled her eyes and turned away. Jonathan continued to sit there, looking at the yard, as if he could still recall the scene of the 2 children playing here when they were young. In this way, Carla returned to the life of the farm again, and from the next morning, she spontaneously picked up the farm tools and went to the field to help with work. Martha and Jonathan don't feel sorry for her, they know that she has super strength, and doing some farm work is not tiring at all. In the past, she would be allowed to rest for a few days, but Carla has been helping the house since she was a child, and she has long been used to it. But on the 3rd day, Perry called Carla. Carla also kept her promise, hanging up on Perry's phone more than a dozen times in a row, thanks to Perry's patience to keep calling. In the end, Perry had no choice but to convey the news to Carla through Jennifer. She really didn't answer the phone. "This woman is fine." Jennifer brought Carla the news that Perry wanted to say. It turned out that the recent Gotham City is not peaceful, and a vigilante who is said to have been called Batman by the public suddenly appeared, walking in the dark. After all, he still acted. Even just yesterday, Batman helped the police catch the biggest underworld boss in Gotham City, that Carmine Falcone. Now Gotham City is discussing whether Batman is a good guy or a bad guy, whether he should be advocated and pursued, or whether he should be arrested. But anyway, Batman did catch Carmine Falcone, and there was a criminal record on the spot, enough to send him to jail. The reason why Perry wanted to call Carla was because she believed in her writing and hoped that she could temporarily add an article to report on Batman. Carla called Perry on the spot. "Damn, I'm on vacation, I have my own column, don't even think about it." Perry was still blank after she hung up the phone. "Who is the editor-in-chief?" Who is the boss? Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 45. Definitely Perry is the current editor-in-chief and boss of Planet Daily. But Carla didn't care about that, she agreed to give her a month's paid vacation, and she didn't care about Batman and Batmans. In fact, Carla knew that the Batman was Bruce. But she obviously shouldn't know. If she asks, Bruce should not refute, but it will be very troublesome later. Why bother? Carla will not run around for that little money, as she said, the money for the column she writes now is enough for her to live. So Carla didn't care about Perry's thoughts, just put the work aside, and continued to live her life as a peasant girl happily. In fact, the farm does not have endless work, it is not exhausted. Sometimes it is necessary to sprinkle water manually, but most of the time it is for entertainment. Anyway, I have nothing to do when I am idle, so I pass the time to do some work in the field. At the same time, it is also a pleasure to get some fresh food from the ground, such as roasting a sweet potato, or roasting a few corns. The way she eats makes the family feel fresh, at least the way of eating roasted corn has never been tried, and it is not bad to taste. Not the kind of grilled corn that is put on a charcoal fire as a skewer, but the whole skewer with twigs and then put it there to cook. It tastes both the original sweetness of corn and a slightly roasted aroma. To be honest, isn't this just farmhouse music? Carla likes this kind of free life very much. However, although she tried her best not to cause trouble, trouble still came to provoke her. One night, Carla was woken up by a sudden ringing of the phone. She took the flip phone on the bedside and punched in. It was Bruce's phone number. Carla pressed the answer button, pressed her forehead that was already starting to ache with one hand, and asked, "Bruce? Why do you have to call me so late? If you dare say it's just to harass me, I'll kick it tomorrow you." When she was on campus, Carla kicked Bruce into the air and killed him instantly. "Carla, I need your help," Bruce's heavy words came from the other end of the phone, "come find me, I'm afraid Gotham City will be destroyed." Carla sighed, she really didn't want to get involved. "I'm just a newspaper columnist who makes some money, and you think highly of me, Bruce?" Carla didn't agree right away. She actually didn't know what happened in Gotham City. It stands to reason that the mafia boss was caught, right? It should be fine, right? This is because she has been deliberately ignoring the situation in Gotham City recently. Bruce's tone became more anxious. "Carla, you can fool others but you can't fool me. What I have learned in at least 6 years, you have learned everything in less than a year. It seems that you have been wandering outside for 3 years. In fact, it only took 1 year to visit all the high teachers I visited, and don't forget that I recommended you to go." Carla was silent. Apart from the fact that the identity of the Kryptonian is still a secret, Bruce is right. Maybe the person who knows her best in the world is this guy. Definitely her family must know her better. "I need your help, Carla, you may have stronger strength and skill than me, I need you to help me deal with the enemy, otherwise Gotham City will be destroyed," Bruce asked again, and he did not. It is an exaggeration, he once spent 6 years visiting famous teachers in the world, and finally tempered his skills. But Carla took less than 1/6 of his time to master all the skills Bruce learned. They all master almost all styles of kung fu in the world, and Carla may be stronger than him. Carla combed her long hair back, finally made up her mind and asked, "Who is the enemy?" Bruce said 2 names, the League of Shadow Warriors, and Lars Al Ghul. Of these 2 names, the former is an organization and the latter is a person's name. But Carla felt strange. "Wait a minute, isn't this the organization you joined in the last year? And that Lars Al Ghul, shouldn't you kill him?" "I can't tell on the phone, so come here now." Knowing that she couldn't evade it, Carla had no choice but to agree. "Okay, I'll drive there right away." "Really, I'm just an ordinary white-collar worker. You think highly of me?" Bruce, who was on the opposite side, couldn't help but heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that she had agreed to his request, and he thought to tease, an ordinary woman who is proficient in martial arts and kung fu from all over the world. Carla is not to be outdone, it's better than someone running around in a costume with a shameful name like Batman. "Come on BD, hurt each other?" Bruce was silent for a moment, then changed the subject and said, "I've asked Afu to drive my private jet to pick you up. It's much more convenient to call him Afu." So he also started calling Afu? Carla snorted softly and didn't bother with the topic of Batman. Anyway, she didn't intend to get a first-hand interview, otherwise Perry would probably pester her in the future, and that would outweigh the gain. Carla is more concerned about, I can't help you in vain, can I? And I don't want to expose myself, prepare me a suit like yours, and, I want your Batmobile and other full sets of equipment. Bruce's heart was bleeding, even a rich man like him couldn't help but gasp when he heard this. Another old man's voice that didn't belong to Afu came from beside him, Master Wayne, what's wrong with you? Bruce on the phone said, it's okay, it's just a toothache. Batman's chariot, motorcycle and even all the equipment on his body are the best of the best. His clothes may cost millions of dollars, not to mention other things. But in order to make Carla willing to help, he had to agree. It's just that Carla may have forgotten that Bruce has always been the most black-bellied one in the Justice League. Bruce finally said, but after all, these equipment cannot be found casually, so I will put them here to help you save them, and wait for you. I'll give it to you when. Carla readily agreed at first, but she didn't realize it until she hung up the phone. Damn, isn't it still yours if it's in your place? She finally understood, it's still not his if it's in Bruce's place? Bruce even said that people should not be found casually, even if she was given the Batmobile, she would not be able to drive the Batmobile to work, right? Mistake, misstep, this black-bellied BD. Bruce even set a trap for Carla, saying that she will give her when she needs it. Doesn't it mean that she will help in the future? This guy. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 46. It's late at night now, but Carla still woke up her family. She thought that the roar of the plane would wake them up anyway. So she talked about the call and request for help from Bruce she just received, but she didn't mention Bruce's name, but in the name of Batman, she said she was going to Gotham City. Jonathan is definitely worried about her identity. Carla reassured them, saying that she would wear Batman's battle suit, and try not to use her super abilities as much as possible, and just end the battle with ordinary strength. As a result, when Afu drove the helicopter over, Carla discovered that it turned out to be a silent plane. Didn't it wake up the family in vain? In fact, this is the prototype of Batman's future Bat fighter, probably. There was only Afu on the plane. Because the engine of the plane was almost silent, the people nearby were not disturbed. Instead, it landed silently to a place not high from the ground in front of the house. Carla heard the seriousness and haste in Bruce's tone before, and guessed that the situation in Gotham City must not be optimistic. At that moment, she bid farewell to her family, followed the rope ladder Afu dropped from the plane, and quickly climbed onto the plane. He waved goodbye to his family and stopped Clark with his eyes. He wanted to help too, but Carla had warned him to think about it later, at least a little more mature. Unlike many works where Superman tries to appease his cousin as much as possible, here is Carla who has been appeasing his cousin who wants to prove his own ideas. The speed of this plane is very fast, and Gotham City is not far away, so it can arrive at Bruce's location very soon. While on the road, Afu briefly introduced the current situation to Carla. It turned out that before this, Bruce had actually been attacked and severely injured. Just after he helped the police capture Carmine Falcone and caught his crime on the spot, Bruce discovered some unexpected clues. But when Bruce went to investigate, he was attacked with poison gas, which made him highly poisoned and had terrifying hallucinations. Later, Afu and another person named Lucius Fox detoxified Bruce in time. If Afu is Bruce's most trusted butler and assistant, he is even treated as an elder like a relative. Then Lucius is the most trusted technology leader of him and Wayne Group. Including Batman's equipment, he provided technical consultants. After that, Batman got the news that his childhood sweetheart, Miss Rachel, seemed to be in danger. Bruce had to rush to the rescue, and he rescued Rachel from the most famous Arkham Asylum. And because of this, I learned of a shocking conspiracy and crisis. There is a group of people, it is the League of Shadow Fighters and Lars Al Ghur, who plan to use a certain device stolen from the Wayne Group to make a certain psychiatrist named Jonathan G. Lois who is good at concocting this kind of poison evaporates and spreads throughout Gotham City, in order to overthrow the goal of completely destroying Gotham City. Who? Carla suddenly noticed a person's name. Afu was flying the plane, he couldn't help being surprised. What? He obviously didn't respond to Carla's question. Carla asked again, what's the name of that K-Lois? Only then did Afu realize who she was asking. We also just learned that he also has a nickname called Scarecrow. No, I mean his real name. Carla didn't want to know what his name was, Scarecrow or not, she only cared about Lois' real name. Afu felt strange and added another sentence, Jonathan, miss, his name is Jonathan Lois. Boom, Carla suddenly punched the plane's cabin wall, why not call it Jonathan? She narrowed her eyes slightly, and snorted coldly in her heart, how dare you call him Jonathan and discredit the name? You're done. In fact, Carla is a bit paranoid, and it's not a surname. There is still a high probability of overlapping the first name. For example, Martha, her adoptive mother's name is Martha, but Bruce's mother is also named Martha, but with a different surname. Martha's real name was originally Clark, and her name was Martha Clark. That's why she named Clark this, which is a combination of her own original surname and Jonathan's surname, so the name Clark Kent appeared. Bruce's mother was named Martha Wayne. Both of them were named Martha. In addition, there are many overlapping names, so I won't repeat them here. The key is not Jonathan, but the surname. In fact, in public, such as Carla's exclusive interview with Bruce, he should be called Mr. Wayne instead of Mr. Bruce. As for Afu calling Carla Miss Carla instead of Miss Kent, it is because he knows that she and Bruce are friends. So Afu called Rachel is also Miss Rachel instead of Miss Dawes. Anyway, it's more troublesome. It's just that Carla obviously held a grudge against the Scarecrow and mourned for him for a few minutes. Next, Afu was still explaining the current situation to Carla. At present, Bruce has actually been attacked by the Shadow Warrior Alliance, as well as Lars Al Ghul. When Bruce joined this mysterious assassin organization, Lars Al Ghul used another identity to guide Bruce, and the Lars Al Ghul who was actually killed by Bruce was just a substitute. So Lars Al Ghul did not die, but Bruce saved his life back then. As a result, such hidden dangers are left behind. Lars Al Ghul is now bringing a large group of elite killer assassins to Gotham City. With the help of that gangster Carmine Falcone, they were secretly transported there and prepared secretly. It turned out that Carmine Falcone was also used by the Shadow Dancer, and it was through his channel that the preparations were successfully completed. Bruce was first attacked by the Scarecrow's poison gas, and then his home was stolen by the Shadow Warrior Alliance, including the glorious Wayne Manor Castle, which was also set ablaze. What a pity, I would have known better if I had given those good things inside. Carla also saw the ruins of the castle, and Afu flew over the manor with a plane. Afu shook his hand, and the plane almost didn't fall. This Miss Carla is simply a robber. He actually heard the conditions Bruce promised her through the communicator, so why would he want to benefit? Definitely, Carla just said casually, if Bruce really dared to give it, she might not dare to accept it. What name? Just give a gift? Don't mean to chase her, she doesn't care about feelings. Here we are, now is the place where the young master temporarily uses it as his stronghold. We generally call it, the Bat Cave. Carla, happy birthday, old Sumi, thank you. Well, today is my birthday, so let's add more, 10 is better. Happy birthday to myself. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 47. It was located in the backyard of Wayne's Manor. It should be a hidden underground facility in the backyard. According to Afu's introduction, this place used to be used by the Wayne family to help the enslaved slaves avoid persecution during a special period. Speaking of which, the belief of the Wayne family has the spirit of service. They serve Gotham City and many people in need. Including the Great Depression era, at least in this world, according to the Shadow Warrior Alliance, they had planned to destroy Gotham City in this way. But it was the Wayne family who saved Gotham City's economy with their own efforts, so that the Shadow Warrior Alliance had to choose tough methods and plan to make a move in the near future. When Carla came in with Afu, Bruce was decadent. What happened to him? Carla asked Afu. Bruce looked up and answered Carla's question himself. If you had been smashed to the ground by a burning beam more than an hour ago, you would have been the same as me. It turned out that I was knocked out of my head, so don't drink too much alcohol if you have nothing to do, Carla complained casually, and then she was attracted by her surroundings. Bruce smiled helplessly, and it wasn't because he drank too much that he set his house on fire. But he didn't argue, and saw Carla walking to the side workbench and picking up a helmet. That's what covered his face when he acted as Batman. Carla took off her glasses, tried to put the helmet on her head, and felt amused in her heart. Didn't she debut as a female Superman or Supergirl, but as Oracle Man? Don't get me wrong, Oracle Man is not referring to the female Batman, that is, the female version of Batman, but there is indeed such a superhero. Oracle Man generally refers to the first-generation Oracle Man Kathy Kane and the second-generation Kate Kane. They are also included in the Batman family. There is another misunderstanding that needs to be explained clearly. The Batman family has Oracle Man and Batgirl. Oracle Man is equivalent to Batman, and Batgirl is equivalent to Robin's position. The original Oracle Man was Kathy Kane, and Kate Kane was her niece and the original Batgirl. It's just that Oracle Man is definitely not as well known as Batman, so most people don't know the existence of this man. And now, instead of being Robin to help Bruce, which is Batman's, Carla will wear the same costume as Batman and debut as Oracle Man. So Carla was amused, and kind of fresh and weird. How is it? Turning around, Carla asks Bruce how she looks, as if wearing his Batman helmet. It would be better if you could cover your hair, Bruce said mercilessly. He who was complained by Carla just now was obviously narrow-minded and insisted on returning it. It's not good for a man to be too dark, Carla said, picking up Batman's cloak and hanging it on her shoulders, and hiding her long golden hair inside, and asked, "How?" Bruce nodded, and this time he expressed his approval. "It can make you hide in the dark perfectly." Carla sighed, that's why she didn't want to be some kind of Oracle Man, just hiding in the dark is very unfulfilling. Only this time, Bruce, and what's going on with your Shadow Warrior Alliance? Carla threw all the things on her body aside, and began to learn more about the situation. What Afu said was only approximate, and there must be many details that have not been mentioned. Bruce was the real party involved, so he started to tell, and while explaining to Carla, he modified an existing set of equipment to better meet her standards according to her requirements and figure. Regardless of the original reason, under the leadership of Lars Al Ghul, the ultimate goal of the League of Shadow Fighters is to completely destroy Gotham City, and kill everyone. Carla almost spit out a classic saying, "Gotham City is simple and honest, and Arkham is full of talents." Definitely, in fact, Metropolis people are not qualified to complain about Gotham City people. When Superman starts to rise, Metropolis will become less peaceful. It's not that Superman brought enemies in, it's just that the existence of Superman amplified the existing problems. Definitely there are also some reasons, because the existence of superhero has attracted more challenges, as the vision of a certain universe said. If there is no superhero, the bad guys can finish the bad things smoothly, wouldn't there be so many troubles? Your resistance turned out to be the superhero's fault. Far away. Originally, the potion used by the Scarecrow, that is, Jonathan Lois, could not poison the whole city by infecting the drinking water. He used a kind of poisonous gas, so all the poison must be spread throughout the city through the sewer pipes in some way, and then repeated. Tone evaporates them. It just so happens that the Wayne Group has been a weapons businessman before and now. At least one of their departments is responsible for developing weapons. There is a device called a microwave launcher or something that can evaporate a lot of water. But now, a microwave transmitter has been stolen. As for who the prisoner is, it seems needless to say. Carla slapped his forehead. This is your pot together? Why do you want to develop something like a microwave transmitter? Bruce said, when I get back control of the company, I will dismantle the weapons development department as soon as possible. But it is meaningless to say these now. Besides, it is not what we want to lose. Carla said in her heart that I was just complaining. You insist on deliberately hurting me? Seeing that the two of them were about to start a fight, Afu had to remind him, if you guys insist on fighting, why not wait until that alliance is resolved? It's still at stake. Carla and Bruce looked at Afu together again, always feeling that this butler was the most cunning, always complaining just right, and whether it was Carla or his own young master Bruce, he would never let it go. Bruce shrugged helplessly, all my money is with you, you have the final say. Afu showed a smug expression, and said deliberately, then hurry up and work, be careful that I will take back the car and nameplate I lent you. It seems that their relationship is really good, not the kind of master-servant relationship where they are wary of each other, but more like family. So what's your plan now? Carla finally got serious too. Since Bruce asked her to help, he naturally would not hold back. We already know that he, Lars, intends to deliver the poison to every corner of Gotham City through the sewers, as long as he brings a microwave transmitter around, turning around the whole city can turn all poisonous water into poisonous gas. But Karla felt strange. Actually, what I'm more curious about isn't the human body the first to be vaporized? Bruce froze. If that microwave transmitter is really that powerful, logically speaking, the blood and water in the human body with not too strong physical fitness should be the first to evaporate, right? This thing is simply bug. Bruce thought for a while, and could only say, maybe they just want to do this. That's the only way to explain it. Finally, Bruce personally completed the creation of her bat battlesuit for Karla. With the help of Bruce and Afu, Karla began to put on the battlesuit that did not belong to her. By the way, you haven't said what your plan is. You interrupted me, right? Well, my plan is very simple. I hope you can help me stop Lars' plan. It's really simple, and it's too simple, right? Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 48. On the street in the middle of the night, Gotham City still doesn't know what's going to happen, so it's still a peaceful scene. This is Gotham City? Isn't it supposed to be full of hooligans and hooligans? Karla looked out through the car window. At the moment, she has put on a pure black battlesuit, and now she is transformed into Oracle Man and rides on the Batmobile. This Batmobile does not only have a seat for one person, it actually has a co-pilot and a rear seat. At least Lucius was in the passenger seat during Bruce's first test drive, and Rachel was in the back seat when he later went to rescue Rachel. So Karla is sitting next to the driver. The speed of the Batmobile is naturally unquestionable, but in Karla's eyes, if she wants, everything around her seems to be still, and she can see all the passing pictures clearly. Bruce, who was concentrating on driving, still had the energy to hear Karla's words, and couldn't help saying, "What do you think of Gotham City? Even Gotham City in the dark is not a criminal concentration camp." Karla shrugged, "Ha." Facing Karla's perfunctory sneer, Bruce had nothing more to say. He is a Gotham native himself, and definitely knows Gotham City more clearly. Speaking of which, this voice changer sounds terrible. Karla began to lower her head and fiddle with the equipment on her body again. This is Bruce's bat battlesuit, which was originally transformed from his spare battlesuit. There is a voice changer near the neck, which makes Karla's voice sound hoarse, not as crisp and pleasant as her original voice. Karla's voice is definitely as sweet as a silver bell, even if it is not as heavenly as the legend says, but if she wants, she can definitely carve out her own world in the field of music. Clark's voice is also very magnetic. Perhaps this is the unique capital of Superman and Supergirl? Bruce said the reason why I wear a mask and change my voice is that I don't want to be recognized as my identity. Whatever I do is not legal. Bruce knew very well that he was not a judge, let alone a policeman. In fact, he was not qualified to arrest others. The most important thing is, I don't want those people I offended to know my identity, and then deal with people I care about. You don't want your adoptive parents to be hurt by others, do you? Karla frowned, it was definitely, but she loosened her eyebrows again, and snorted softly, thinking disapprovingly in her heart that she and Clark could use psychological hints to make people not recognize themselves. For example, when acting as Superman and Supergirl, they will become great heroes. But after returning to the mundane, no one will associate them with superheroes. Unless they are in ordinary identities, they don't do anything to cover up, and show up almost exactly the same as in action. That's why she started wearing glasses in advance. Regardless of a small change, it is enough to cause cognitive impairment. Many times, the most brilliant cross-dressing is just showing people what they really are. Okay, tell me about the guy's plan and what we're going to do now, Karla said, repeating Bruce's plan. In fact, what Bruce said before was too simple, so simple that he almost didn't say anything. Bruce said, I'm going to Nahi Island soon. There is a friend of mine there. I think he is also confused. Why don't we explain it to you at that time? Save me saying it again? Karla didn't mind either, and would have chosen to do so if she had. So the two stopped communicating, and went straight to the direction of Nahi Island amidst the roar of the Batmobile. Nahi Island is a small island close to Gotham City. Because of its particularity, Gotham City built a prison called a mental hospital on it. Yes, it is the Arkham Asylum. Bruce said before that Lars transported all the fear toxins that passed through the Scarecrow Lois to the Arkham Asylum through the channel of the gangster Falcone. And today's Nahi Island is completely chaotic. Lars has already acted, at least he started to turn Nahi Island into chaos but full of fearful toxins everywhere. In such an environment, there is no need for Lars to do it himself, and Gotham City will be destroyed by itself. What a terrifying picture that was, it was full of fear like hell. But Karla and Bruce didn't hesitate, and flew into the sky along the connecting bridge between Gotham City and Nahi Island. Because of the unexpected situation on Nahi Island, the bridge has actually been suspended, which is equivalent to disconnecting the connection. But Bruce didn't mind, and rushed out along the raised broken bridge, and finally landed on the opposite Nahi Island accurately. Karla sat there with an old god all the time, until the end he complained, "Your flying car skills are not bad." Karla is already indifferent to exciting facilities such as roller coasters, including this speeding car, which can't make her heart beat faster. If you have the supersonic flight ability to break through the sound barrier, you can even break through 20,000 meters and fly to the edge of the atmosphere. When you get to the ground, you will feel that those are pediatrics. Crack. Doors opened on either side of the Batmobile. Put this on, Bruce throws a black one at Karla before getting out of the car. Karla held it in her hand and took a look. It was a simple and portable gas mask. It turned out that Bruce was worried that Karla hadn't injected the antidote, fearing that she would be infected by the fear toxin that had now covered the entire Nahi Island. Looking at Bruce getting out of the car, Karla shrugged and threw the mask away. Then she stepped out of the car with long legs, and was instantly enveloped in a thick layer of mist. The mist was obviously formed by Lars vaporizing the poison with a microwave transmitter, and it was filled with the Scarecrow's fear toxin. Karla didn't care too much, she didn't take a sip to see if she would be affected, and she didn't dare, because once she lost control, Lars would have nothing to do with it, and she could take it all by herself. Gotham City is ruined. Even destroying the world, the out-of-control Superman is the scariest. Karla does not need to inhale, and now she can even hold her breath for dozens of hours, or even more than 10 days. So Karla didn't need to care about the poisonous gas around him at all, and even quietly put a layer of psychokinesis shield on the surface of his body. She was worried that in addition to entering the body through the respiratory tract, these poisonous gases could also penetrate through the capillary pores of the human body. After all, she was a high-achieving student, so her thinking was very comprehensive. After doing this, Karla turned to look at Bruce. He had already found his so-called friend, and it was Gotham Sheriff Gordon. Definitely, Gordon should still be a clerk now, not a sheriff yet. Gordon also saw Karla, and couldn't help being a little dumbfounded. Does Batman have two people? Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 49. At the moment, Karla, Bruce, and the later director Gordon, the three of them got together and looked at the messy Nahi Island behind them. Nahi Island is not all Arkham Asylum. In fact, there are still other people living on the island. I have no helpers here. All the special police officers in Gotham City have been dispatched, but as you can see, everyone is down except I got the antidote that Miss Rachel gave me, GE said. When Deng said this, the expression on his face was ugly. Because it's normal that there are only 3 of them on the entire island now, if Karla and Bruce didn't arrive, he wouldn't even have a backup. So here we are, Bruce said in an eerie husky voice. Karla glanced sideways at Bruce. Do you still have the time to comfort him? It seems that the relationship is really good. You want me to avoid it for a while, and then you two are good friends and have a good time. Karla glanced at the two of them, and reminded, please, is this the time for a leisurely chat? It was the first time for Gordon to come into contact with this Oracle man, because it was indeed her first debut as an Oracle man, and she couldn't accept Karla's sharp complaints. In order to prevent Karla from continuing to complain, or imagining them as some not-so-good pictures, Bruce hurried to the topic. Nahi Island is just the beginning. A group of people are planning to spread the poison throughout Gotham City through tap water and underground water pipes, and then pass through the Wayne Group's underground main hub, covering the whole city with these poisonous gases with microwave emitters. Bruce briefly talked about Lars' plan. Gordon couldn't help but thumped in his heart, and exclaimed, in that case, the entire Gotham City will be destroyed. That's right, Lars and the Shadow Warrior Alliance are planning to destroy Gotham City, and even kill everyone. They frantically believe that Gotham City is completely corrupt and hopeless, and they may even think that they are just. Carla curled her lips. Even if she also belonged to the more radical kind, she would not implicate innocent people. She will only judge the damned, but there are still many ordinary people in Gotham City. They are innocent and should never have been implicated. Therefore, Carla will never approve of the actions of the Shadow Fighters Alliance and Lars. That's why she readily agreed to Bruce's request for help. Precisely because she couldn't just sit back and watch. How do they plan to send that launcher to the Wayne Group? Gordon also began to get to the point, knowing that the situation was urgent and he had to find a way to stop the enemy's plan. Bruce is Bruce after all, and Batman is Batman after all. He had already guessed Lars' plan. He intends to go straight to the Wayne Group on the single track. It turns out that there is also a single track train between Nahi Island and Gotham City. As soon as Carla slapped her forehead, she didn't complain about why Gotham City decided to raise the bridge, but didn't temporarily close the elevated railway tracks. And since that bridge exists, why do we need to build an elevated railway track? Most importantly, why does it have to be a single line? That is to say, there is only one train running back and forth? In short, this plot always feels a bit deliberately rushed. Anyway, that's it. I don't even bother to complain, since a microwave transmitter can instantly evaporate the water source of the whole city. Wouldn't it turn Gotham City into a big steamer to steam everyone? Surely it will be turned into jerky by the evaporated water, right? Carla still couldn't hold back, and muttered beside her like a monster. Bruce and Gordon glanced at her. Is this woman complaining that too few people died? Are you one of those people? If it weren't for the fact that she and Batman were wearing a series of battle suits, and the two came together, Gordon would have suspected that she might also be part of the enemy. Bruce, who was used to Carla's sharp complaints, didn't bother to argue with her, and continued to Gordon, I need your help. Gordon was taken aback. What can he help? Bruce took out the keys of the Batmobile and handed it to Gordon, and said to him, my car has weapons that can destroy the viaduct. I need you to rush to the Wayne Group as quickly as possible and blow up the viaduct for me. Gordon looked at Bruce dumbfounded. Let him, the policeman who should guard Gotham City, destroy the city buildings? But Gordon also understands that Bruce's plan is a last resort, and the enemy must not let the microwave transmitter be sent to the Wayne Group, otherwise everything will be over. There is not much antidote yet, and now only 4 copies have been made. Bruce has injected one, Rachel and Gordon each have one, and Gordon has a backup in case of emergency. The antidote cannot be produced in a large amount in a short period of time. If the enemy's plan is successful, everyone in Gotham City will go mad because of the fear of poisonous gas, and no one will be able to save the city by then. After thinking about this clearly, Gordon immediately took Bruce's car keys and took a deep breath. Trust me. Bruce nodded. Carla on the side spoke again, unwilling to be lonely. By the way, do you really know how to drive this car? Gordon was about to cry. He watched the two of them jump over just now, and the suspension bridge has not been lowered. Doesn't it mean that he will also jump back to the other side? It's okay if Carla doesn't say it, but if he says it, he will retreat. What's more, Carla's worry is not without purpose. Gordon really doesn't know much about the Batmobile. Bruce glared at Carla, took Gordon to the side of the Batmobile, and comforted, don't worry, it's just an ordinary manual transmission. Gordon looked at the complicated console. There are a lot of buttons. You call this an ordinary manual transmission? Also, Bruce said there was a weapon system in the car. Are you sure he's okay? After Bruce's simple instructions, Gordon at least knew which is the most important operation and weapon system. I'm going. Gordon said goodbye to Bruce and Carla in a decisive tone, and then he took out the walkie-talkie and shouted inside, I'm Gordon, put the bridge down for me. He didn't have the courage to jump over it. Carla laughed silently, thinking that Gordon was also quite funny. Bruce shrugged helplessly, knowing that Gordon's request for help was meaningless, and the other side would definitely not, and he did not dare to lower the suspension bridge, because the situation on Nahi Island was too bad. So in the end, Gordon still has to muster up the courage to leap over, and he will indeed have that backbone. Then, Bruce came to Carla's side. Next, it's our turn, Bruce said. Carla pressed her fingers together with both hands, and there was a crisp crackling sound at the joints, and she moved her neck and shoulders. I wish for it. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. 50. Although Gordon had been asked to destroy the viaduct, Karla and Bruce did not relax. They still needed to find out the source of the incident, which was Lars and the others. If it's enough to just destroy the viaduct, wouldn't they be able to destroy it first when they come? Definitely, Karla also questioned, wouldn't it be better to destroy the viaduct from Nahi Island? Must Gordon go to the city and destroy the other end? Bruce was helpless. Can't you stop complaining about me? Karla spread her hands, and kicked a guy who suddenly ran out of the slanted stab into the air, and said at the same time, it's just a rant, don't take it too seriously. But her complaints gave Bruce a headache. Because what Karla said is indeed correct, since the viaduct of the railway track must be destroyed, why not destroy it nearby, so that Lars can see that there is no chance to leave in this way, and the destruction of Gotham City can also be avoided. But since that has been done, Gordon should also start, and there is no point in saying anything. Having said that, the entire Nahi Island at the moment fell into chaos, and everyone was infected with fear toxin and became crazy. How did that sentence come from? The extreme point of fear is either collapse or madness and anger. Fights between people can be seen everywhere on the street, because in everyone's eyes, they will see things that make them fear. When they realize that this fear cannot be eliminated, people will go crazy and want to destroy their own fear. Karla frowned. She saw so many people almost killing others that she had to knock everyone unconscious. It's just that her shot may be a bit heavy. Even if she recovers, she will have to go to the hospital for a few days. Bruce is also in action. He has many weapons on his body, but he doesn't use them on others. Perhaps from now on, he has already adhered to the principle of not killing people? Suddenly, Karla grabbed Bruce's cloak with such strength that he almost fell over. What? Bruce didn't blame Karla, but asked her what was wrong. Karla closed her eyes tightly, as if she was listening. The next moment she opened her eyes and asked, "Your Miss Rachel is also on the island." What? Bruce was taken aback for a moment, and then showed a shocked expression. Rachel. Karla did hear it. She heard the Scarecrow's voice first. Someone came from a corner. I'm not K. Lois, my name is Scarecrow. The dead K. Lois didn't know that he had been hated by a certain tyrant. When he said the keyword Scarecrow, he was locked by Karla. Because of this, Karla accidentally noticed Rachel's location. Come with me, Karla sprinted out. Bruce had no doubts about how Karla knew Rachel's location, because he was more worried about Rachel's current situation. So the two quickly passed Nahi Island one by one, and finally they came to an alley. In this alley, Rachel is taking a child to hide around. Behind them, there is a group of prisoners who escaped from Arkham, and they are also infected by neurotoxin, with murder weapons in their hands. Point closer to Rachel. They were planning to hurt Rachel. Bruce, who saw this scene, couldn't bear it anymore, and rushed in immediately, punching and kicking those people. But Bruce didn't notice that Karla was gone. On the other side, a horse was running fast in the city, and on the horse's back, a man with a rough hood on his head fell on the horse's back, with two stun guns hanging from his body. He is the Scarecrow, and he was indeed going to Shanghai Rachel before, but Rachel knocked him down with a self-defense stun gun. At the moment the Scarecrow screamed involuntarily while running wildly. In fact, the Scarecrow is just an ordinary person. He just uses the fear gas he developed to make people have hallucinatory images of fear, thus bringing people fear. But the fact is that he originally didn't have any so-called real skills, at least he didn't have enough physical fitness and combat effectiveness. At the moment, Karla's cloak floats behind her, making her look as if a large bat is soaring through the sky, over the long distance to the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow let out a more terrified cry, because he had already fought against Bruce. At the moment he thought that this Batman was still Bruce coming to find him. Although Karla is not Bruce, she is indeed looking for the Scarecrow, and she is scarier than Bruce. Squinting her eyes slightly, Karla locked onto the Scarecrow. Without any hesitation, she put away the gliding function of the Batman battlesuit, and went straight to the Scarecrow. She was not far from the ground just now, but Karla didn't care. She fell to the ground with a boom and stopped in front of the horse. The horse was startled, and the front half stood up and subconsciously wanted to kick Karla. Karla snorted coldly, stepped forward quickly and grabbed the horse's head with her hands, and fell over her shoulder with her back. The horse was dumbfounded. It was thrown over the shoulder by a human? During the process, the Scarecrow fell down and let out a muffled groan when it landed on the ground. It wanted to turn its back on Karla and tried to escape with both hands and feet. Where are you going? Carla stepped on the Scarecrow's back, and huge amounts of strength made him lie on the ground and could no longer move. The Scarecrow noticed something. It was a woman's voice. Who are you? Carla sneered. Never mind who I am, you are doomed to pay for what you did. As he spoke, Carla began to exert force gradually on his feet. She didn't rush to kill the Scarecrow immediately, but let the Scarecrow gradually feel the coming of death in such a slow way. The huge and irresistible force is absolutely unbearable for ordinary people. The Scarecrow's back first issued a series of terrifying noises, and his spine was broken. This is not over. The next thing is that the internal organs of the Scarecrow began to be oppressed. There was a sneer on the corner of Carla's mouth all the time. When she traveled the world before, she saw countless natural laws where the weak preyed on the strong. She has seen all the more terrifying scenes, and even personally participated in the handling of prey. But she doesn't treat everyone like this, and there's a reason for that. Don't you worship fear? Then, come and taste the taste of fear too. Carla was retaliation in her own way. Scarecrows often complacently use fear to hurt others, and now they want to let he tasted fear. The Scarecrow kept screaming, and from the moment his spine was crushed, he knew he was going to die. You are not him. At the last moment, the Scarecrow suddenly yelled, you are not Batman. If you were him, you would never treat me like this. Carla smiled. Congratulations, you got the answer right, so I reward you. Puff. The whole Scarecrow was trampled to death by her. Happy reading every day during Spring Festival in the Year of the Rabbit. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period, January 21st to February 5th. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.